Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Icewind Dale. Say hi, everyone.
Hi.
Hello there.
Hi.
Well, howdy do.
Yes, where we last left off, the party was able to properly put Perilouse's companions, let's just say, pelt
Oh.
of her Goliath friend, Mokingo, and the tiefling companion that they recruited, Asterix. Which Merkin here was able to record some of the spells off of and kind of permanently adjust Cypher's personality a little bit in the process. But eventually, you all did go ahead and make your way back over to Targos. Once there, you were able to officially reunite Keegan with his husband. And, I mean, they wouldn't mind if you stuck around, but you elected to let them be alone by themselves for obvious reasons. And in the process, there was another thing on the agenda right afterwards, as I believe Alonzo finally used Locate Object for the first time.
Yep.
To find Hither's wallet.
Yes.
we did it.
Yay! The search and pains are over.
And you did manage to find it in the hand of one of the town's guards as they were basically doing a
Drug deal.
yeah, let's just call it that, a drug deal with the one innkeeper that you really hated, Owen, who was
What?
super depressed and whatnot.
Let's just call it that. I shift left, I shift right.
Yeah, and
Are you doing a weed? I'm calling the police.
Oh God.
No, this
Um,
is
Crazy.
But yeah, you managed to end up talking your way into just taking the wallet, not the gold, and avoiding a fight. But Ezekiel here actually decided to do his own pickpocketing in the meantime to get some extra goodies, I guess. And in the process, he did, get some extra gold for himself, extra pocket change and whatnot. But he also found a strange emblem, one of the Zinthetherim, the largest black market organization in all of Faerun, and especially in the Sword Coast.
Oh.
Which basically confirms a suspicion that this town's guards has basically been infiltrated by them.
Surprise, surprise. The cops are bad people.
What?
But not wanting to stick around too long, you finally decided to go back to where it all began, Bryn Shander, after avoiding an encounter, I believe. Or, I forget. You avoided an encounter, right?
Partially avoided. Two of the methods kind of fucked off.
Right. Two of the methods left. The other one gave you an ominous warning about what you would see inside. And as you came inside, you came to a scene where everybody was trying to get a peek as to what was happening in the town square. To which you guys, through various different means, Alonzo via wild shaping and the others helping, I believe Hither just flat out jumped onto here.
Yeah.
You all got a higher vantage point, and what you saw was the dead body of Danica Greysteel, one of your very first known companions that you made in your adventures here in Icewind Dale so far. Apparently stabbed to death by a translucent slab of ice fashioned into a scimitar, sticking out of her stomach as she lies motionless on the ground. The rest of the police are trying to get the townsfolk out of the way to inspect the crime scene and gather evidence and whatnot, but considering that this is the middle of town, yeah.
That ain't happening.
And that's where and this is where we pick off from.
Yeah. Can I ask a question?
So guys, Danica is dead.
Yeah. Like muted still?
No, we hear you.
No,
No.
not at all. Alonzo has a question.
Yeah, can I ask a question?
Yes.
Is it is the blood still like freshly on the ground? Like it hasn't frozen or anything?
Make a perception check. Actually, do you remember what animal you were?
Cat, I'm pretty sure.
You were a cat. Okay, let me just check
Meow.
something real quick.
Yeah.
Meow. Actually, I'm a snow leopard. Rawr.
Wow.
Alright, alright, I'll go ahead and say, make a perception check. I will allow you to do 2 different perception checks. The first one is to see blood. The second one, I will allow you to smell it. And that one I will give you advantage on because you are a cat.
Okay.
This
So
cat.
Because the monster manual says so.
I smell.
Alright, 21 for sight, 14 for smell.
Sniff sniff.
With a 21, you can very visibly see, there are blackened bloodstains near where this scimitar has impaled her through the stomach, which suggests that this blood had oxidized over time and then eventually froze because you're in Icewind Dale, which suggests to you that this blood is not fresh. As for your smell, with a 14, there's a lot of smells going on right now.
Ew.
You're if anything, you're kind of bombarded by smells because, literally almost the entire town is converging on the scene, and so you just feel like the passive, faint smells of all of these people kind of assault your nose at once, to where it's just kind of like a dull, almost kind of like numb smell, where it's like,
Ew.
it's hard to distinguish anything.
Gotcha.
It's not stinky, it's just
Pungent.
detailless.
Yeah. So, but it looks like she's been dead for a while.
That is the best you can deduce.
Cool.
So, Nick, immediately after seeing this, you don't have to play this music, but I feel like this is how Nick is handling this right now.
Is it copyright music?
Probably.
Got a lot.
Oh, okay, alright. I don't think I've actually ever heard this music before.
Alright, but yeah, I'll let you marinate on this as you try to figure out what the fuck to even think about all this.
First thing, Nick will speak up and say, "She's been dead for a while. We can't revive her. Those mephits, they were sent by someone, and specifically, since they were heading towards the west, that means they were hunting for us. Someone's been watching us.
Wow.
This also means that Miss Greysteel over there, if she strike 3, then odds are, I think she was getting close to discovering something. As much as I want to investigate her body, we can't get close without the guards getting in the way. We need to go to her house, or at least where she was staying. We may be able to find something out more there."
Wow.
Do you think perhaps we may have already been beaten to such a conclusion?
Maybe.
It is worth a shot, though, I agree.
Come on, we gotta move.
Indeed.
I'll shift back to half bird. And like kind of as we're walking, I want to move back to like where Zeke is running with us.
All right.
Do you think?
Oh, go
Hold on.
ahead.
Do you think we should check on the dwarf here too, Garn?
It'd probably be worth checking. I think it's safe to assume that anyone remotely related to us could potentially be targeted.
But was this strike 3 for the town or strike 3 for us?
We didn't know the other two strikes.
The
This one-
dwarven town were them, yeah.
I assume that the strikes were were related strictly to the Dwarven Valley, but the strikes have to be non-related to us. But I think it's more likely that each strike is someone who gotten a little too close to figuring things out.
I like think back to the dwarves that especially the dwarf I helped rescue, so he didn't die.
Mm-hmm.
Did I ever learn like what he was exactly like, who exactly he was, or like why he would have been important, or was he just like some poor schmuck that was caught outside at a bad time?
As far as you are aware, you didn't get the impression that he was necessarily somebody who was important, like someone who was learned. He was just straight up a commoner.
Yeah. So he's more like a wrong place, wrong time.
I think it was, if I remember correctly, he lived outside, like, the last two first and second strikes were people that lived outside the cities, who
That's right. Yeah.
maybe they
And
saw
Danica,
something. They saw something
Sorry,
they
no.
shouldn't have.
This is true.
Essentially.
We have too little info. Let's keep going.
Indeed.
All right. What is it that you wish to try and do?
Let's go. We were gonna go to the inn that she was staying at, which was.
You remember it as the Northlook.
Yep. Thought I had that wrote down somewhere, but actually, I don't think we ever went to the North Lobe just to like meet her. That's it. We didn't actually go inside.
Hold on
So, yeah.
1 second, actually.
Okay.
Just to get my facts straight.
You are building up a mystery here, so it makes sense.
Yeah.
And the music is definitely complimenting that for sure.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Let's see here.
Let's see.
Okay, my bad. The Northlook is where you got your first mission from. The one that I'm thinking of is a place called Kelvin's Comfort,
Yeah, I have that one. Yeah, run by
which is
Ogden.
specifically ran by,
Ogden
sorry.
Flamebeard,
yes.
and Denog, which is his brother.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I have notes. See, I'm a good noodle. Yeah, we'll head there.
All right. As you head on over there, you can see that also there are a few guards that are also there doing their own investigation, but the whole force isn't here, so it's like you are able to come in and, you know, do as you would please, get a room, ask around, the usual sort of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
It is relatively close by to the crowd, so you could definitely hear a little bit of chatter like the idle chatter outside. But yeah, you head on inside. What do you do?
Immediately see if we can get to Danica's room.
Danica's room, which would be about on the second floor, you can already see as soon as you get up there, there are like 2 guards standing outside, and there are 2 guards standing outside, and definitely the sounds of several other footsteps inside. Definitely seems as though the guards are here investigating first.
Makes sense. I'm kidding.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, I guess. Does anyone want to try asking the guards if we can investigate the room? I mean, technically, we were her last employers or employees.
I have a +1 charisma.
I could try talking to them, or the other idea I was thinking of. I mean, I could try and sneak in the room from the outside on the second floor.
Let's not commit any more crimes.
No.
I mean, you
Also-
said it yourself. You have good charisma.
No, I do. You're right. I could. Let me try talking to the guards.
All right.
Give you a guidance before you go off.
Yeah. As soon as you approach, you see one of the guards, a human, look to you and say, "I'm sorry, sir. If you were given the key to this room, I apologize. We're in the middle of investigating a potential crime scene for evidence."
And this is. Do I roll now?
What do you do?
I walk close to the human-like figure. Actually, we knew the person that used to stay here. She hired us for a job. Is it possible if she might have left something in here? If, like, we were her last known contact, so if there's anything that we can probably do.
Make a persuasion check.
Meanwhile, I'm just imagining that, like, back outside.
Go ahead and add your guidance.
What will?
I said, meanwhile, I'm just imagining that back outside, Merkin is discussing with Nick how, like, you raise a good point, Nick. The fact that we were her last
Contacts.
business contacts.
Ooh.
That could almost lead to us potentially being prime suspects.
But we have witnesses that we've been elsewhere for several days now.
Indeed, but I wouldn't be surprised if some were to jump to conclusions regardless, but that's just me.
Plus, there's some spotty days in there.
We
All
have,
right, 19.
well, we have alibis, so.
Yeah, 19. With a 19, you see the guard look over to the inside and just sort of let out a sigh and say, "So you are here to figure out has been going on, yes?"
Basically, something like that. There
Oh.
was a rather important job that we had taken care of, and just Zeke is thinking to himself, important to us, mainly me, probably not everyone else.
All right, but there are some designated areas you shouldn't touch in fear of potentially damaging or accidentally tampering with evidence. As long as you don't try to touch on anything you're not supposed to, you can take a look around.
All right.
That's
Just to be
all I need is to take a look around.
Just be careful, everyone. Gloves on.
Booties on.
All right. As you look inside,
Yeah, dancer rules. Look, don't touch.
but yeah, as you look on inside, the room itself seems to be relatively untouched. The only thing that has changed about this room, so to speak, is the bed shows signs of someone getting out of bed. Like, room service hadn't had a chance to like come in here and like
Make the bed and
change
stuff,
the
yeah.
sheets, stuff like that.
Yeah.
The rest of the room, on the other hand, it seems to be relatively clean. You get the impression that, like, whatever Danica was able to do to make the room livable, she did. Like, obviously, there's still some dust that she couldn't get rid of, but she definitely seemed to do her best. And as such, there are some basic living supplies there, like personal items, toiletries, the usual stuff that you would have with you when you would like travel.
Mhm.
Do we see anyone or anything inside of the room?
You see about 3 different guards, sort of like scouring different parts of the room at a time to see if there is anything that could be useful in the ongoing investigation of this dead body.
Am I able to use my echolocation to look for the carrying case of the Chewingas?
Roll me a perception check with advantage.
Alright, please, for the love of...
All right, 10. With a 10, let me roll something.
I could probably word this perfectly. if it, like, in my brain, the way I see it, since it's such a low roll.
Okay, let me see here. Let's see here. All right. Trying to find something real quick, but you can tell me like the thing that you're doing.
Just like my ears try to attune to the sounds of the room, like everything going on. And I try to like click my tongue and make the sounds necessary to visibly see the room. But at this moment in time, there's just too much noise, too much clatter, and it's not like in the sense that the guards are talking to one another. It's just like footsteps going by. I can hear the sounds coming from outside. I can hear the pitter patter of like hands on tables, feet to the ground, boards being knocked around. And it's just like I can't see anything properly. It's hard to focus.
Yeah, especially when you have 3 guards in here that are still wearing armor. So anytime they like move around, there's that very subtle metallic clank.
Just every time they move, it's just a metal pipe dropping.
Yeah.
It's just like Ezekiel's lack of focus just causes him to like ball up his fist. It's like, and like his frustration is very visible and might have caused an unintentional amount of attention from the guards to come to his direction.
Yeah, as soon as you go, one person goes, it's like, oh shit, fuck. Like your noise scares him. It's like, gee, sorry. Continue on.
Just don't mind me. He just
All right.
He puts a hand along his face, and it's just like there's visible duress on Ezekiel's face.
All right. The rest of you, if you wish to aid in this investigation, roll investigation.
Will you allow me perception, because that's my better stat?
Please, Mr. DM.
Mr. Do you
The arrow in the sky speaks, and they say,
Well, okay. How much is your investigation versus your perception?
My investigation is a +2. My perception is a +6.
Then, yeah, stick with investigation.
Oh.
the arrow in the sky speaks, and they say,
No.
No.
Do I roll investigation, or only the others can?
You can roll investigation because you were only using perception to weed out, like, if the Chewingas are here. You haven't actually investigated the room yet.
Okay, all right. Investigation.
Can I
Yes.
Can you?
can I do a thing that you said Merkin could do the other time, where I can use 2 level 1 spell slots to do a level 2 thing?
Okay. No, and the reason why is because he basically learned spells that he wasn't able to use. And that's only because he hadn't unlocked slots yet.
Gotcha. I just wanted
If you're trying to cast a level 2 spell, then you would have had them, so no, I'm afraid not.
I just want to make sure, because I'm out of level 2 slots, so... Alright,
Yeah.
then I will investigate with guidance.
Alright.
My
Anyone?
my anger is making my attention to detail very, very minuscule.
Yeah.
Like missing very very like easy to find things are very hard for me to focus on.
Yeah.
Right.
And Merkin.
All right, yeah.
Rookie boy?
I'm working on it.
Will work better!
No.
Alright, okay. I'll say Alonzo.
Yes.
With a 24.
You remember something a while back when you first tried to find the Chewingas. Do you remember the way that you found them? Because
Yeah.
I do, but I want to know if you remember.
Yeah, it's like a lantern of tracking elementals, and I still have it.
Well, yes, but do you remember how you were able to, like, know for a fact they were in East Haven?
No.
You remember when you first came into town, there was a lady that was complaining because her silverware was being taken.
Mm-hmm.
And with a 21, or rather 24 in this case, sorry, with a 24, you look among the supplies that she had, careful to not touch them, of course.
No touchy.
And you realize that, you know how when you leave objects on the ground for a while, that when you pick them up, that there's like a visible, like, dust spot? You notice that there are several different dust spots that just show up, but they're all like very tiny rudimentary objects. Not necessarily silverware, but we're talking stuff like earrings, a tiny little, like, mug, like, stuff like that.
Okay.
And...
There's a spot where they're missing, or...
Yeah, you notice they're not there because of the dust spots. And because you remember that the Chewingas are mischievous, playful, and kind of childish by nature,
Yeah.
it could be possible that they could have just taken these objects and headed out to play house again or something.
Yeah.
We
But they're not
technically,
here.
As far as you know.
technically, once we leave, we can use the lantern to look for them.
That is true.
Yep. With my 24, is there like sign of like her research notes?
I will say, you do not get anything like a journal or anything like that. You get the feeling that if she did have something like that, it was on her body.
Yeah.
So that would currently either be still on her body right now or in the custody of the local guard.
And you said like this inn isn't actually very far from the crime scene, right?
No. For context, 1 second here. For context, the inn that you're in right now, Kelvin's Comfort, is... Just getting a frame for reference so I can figure out the right place to ping. It is here. The actual crime scene is around here. And Town Hall would be right around... Hold on one sec.
There.
Sorry. Would actually be right here.
Oh,
I
really
can't
close.
control myself. No, I seriously cannot move my merchant token.
Well, yeah, because I had to drag it onto you because it was missing. So drag your own real quick.
Yeah, do it yourself, boy.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to do. Okay.
Like, go to... Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I got you.
And also, there.
Ah, man, I'm just messing with you.
Yeah. Alright, so yeah, as you all are investigating, you hear that same guard before that talked with Ezekiel come to him and very tentatively put a hand on your shoulder, Zeke, and say, if you know anything about the deceased, I would honestly suggest that you go over to Town Hall and let the Marshal know, or even the Speaker herself.
Like, feeling the hand on his shoulder, Ezekiel, like, his ears go up, and, like, he bares fangs for, like, the briefest of moments, like, and then, like, he turns and he's like...
Easy.
He's like...
My apologies.
Yeah. She was our employer, so we know a thing or two. Yeah.
Employer, you say? Well, I guess you would have valuable information then. Then, yeah, I absolutely recommend you take this to Town Hall.
Before we leave to Town Hall, could you maybe inform us a little bit about how she was found?
Discovered, yeah.
I imagine she wasn't just someone just walked up to her, stabbed her, and just disappeared into the snow.
Well, I'm not the one investigating the scene where the dead body is, but from what I've heard from my subordinates, the body would have been found about 2 or 3 hours ago, right as the sun was about to rise. By the time the other guards found the body, the blood was already starting to blacken from drying up. So, if I had to guess, the body was probably dead about 5 or 6 hours ago. Probably when everybody was sleeping.
Alright. So she was out. It was in the middle of the night. Presumably, it must have been when she was...
Researching?
Researching. She must have been out of this area. Damn. Alright. I don't think we're going to get any much more out of what we've already seen so far.
Yeah, the rank and file here.
Ezekiel, real quick. The marked blessing that you got from the Chewingas a while back, you've never used it yet, right?
Have not used it yet. I already have a thing in mind for when I do use it. I even have a catchphrase ready for when it comes into play. And I have a whole spiel when I'm ready to. It's still on my left pinky. I remember where it is.
Yeah. I just wanted to ask, just to remind myself whether or not you've used it yet.
No. I am waiting for the moment.
The moment, registered trademark.
Oh god, I hope that's not true.
What?
Sorry, ever since Paris Hilton was trying to trademark "That's hot," I've been afraid.
No, no, just for a reference.
Lived in fear of her.
I can still hear her.
That's hot.
But yeah,
That's not.
what is it that you would all like to do next?
Well, does she have any food left in the fridge?
No.
That would not be privy to us. We're in an inn.
This is also a high fantasy world. There isn't like a fridge.
There's no mini fridge.
No.
Why would they need a fridge? There's literally nothing but snow outside.
Honestly,
exactly.
yeah.
But listen, you need to preserve your food. Just like sit it outside and hope the bears don't get at it. Not
Basically.
bears, but you know, like wildlife, if
When
any.
when it gets cold around here, we can actually put stuff outside to preserve it. We call it the poor man's fridge.
The poor but I guess Ezekiel's gonna look to Nick and it's just like, should we head to town hall then? I guess.
Town Hall would be our next stop, I suppose. We have to. Hopefully, the town guard can help us, or we can help them.
Mm-hmm. Could we ask the innkeeper about Danica's movements?
Yeah, her last known location, or the last time she was seen by the inn, would be a good estimate.
We can do it on the way out.
Ezekiel lags behind and just his breathing becomes very labored, just like
Zeke,
What?
they're going to be fine. If what Alonso found is any indication, the Joingas should be alright. We can use the lantern we have to find them.
You're right. I don't know. That I haven't felt this way before. I don't like it.
It's going to be okay. We're going to find whoever did this, and we're going to make them regret it. But right now, let's focus on what we can control.
Right.
So, let's get our answers from the innkeeper, and then let's head off to the town hall to see if we can report in and hopefully fill in some blanks.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, as you are heading outside, you're gonna go ahead and ask Oleg about the last time you saw her, correct?
Listen, yeah, someone
Yes.
saw her.
Yes. Hold on, my browser is going crazy. Please, I don't know what it is, but like for the past month and a half or whatever, Chrome is freezing non-stop. And I don't know why, because this is a super high-end computer.
I stopped using Chrome altogether.
I still use
Are
it
you a
for now.
Firefox boy?
No, I'm using the,
Bing.
not Bing. The default.
The bing bing wahoo
You're not using fucking Microsoft Edge.
Is the one with the blue swirl?
Gray.
Yeah.
Gray.
Gray.
Oh my
We will have words later.
Why? What's wrong with that?
We will have words later.
What does this implicate?
Look, all of my
Buffer.
Look, I can't switch now. All of my bookmarks are on it.
But
Oh,
you could
God.
transfer all your bookmarks with
History.
Firefox. Yeah. We'll do that later. Anyways.
Anyways, yeah. But yeah, on the way out, you go ahead and ask Ogden if they can confirm whether or not,
She left
Danica's
her
last time she left.
Mhm.
You get from him that around maybe 2 a.m., 3 a.m., she was just feeling restless and just wanted to just get out and take a bit of a walk. Probably had, a bad dream or a restless night and just wanted to walk it out and then maybe take a nap, try and get some sleep when they come back. And, well, never really came back.
She looked nervous.
I would say, or they would say, that they looked more so tired than anything.
What if the Chewingas weren't letting her sleep very well?
Don't say it
Hey,
like
she,
that.
she made the choice to study them, all right? She
Yeah.
she made her bed and she would lie at it specifically if that was the case.
Quite
But I
literally.
mean, like,
All right. But yes, as you head on out and over to Town Hall, I will go ahead and switch to more normal-ish music, since you are in a much more calm and organized location as you enter Town Hall. As soon as you enter, there is a bit of commotion, not like panic or anything, but just several different people moving in and about as some are bringing in evidence for the dead body discovery. Others are, going out to make sure that the crowd doesn't like keep trying to take a peek and just get them to please do something else.
Ah, so a lot of people actually care about this lady.
Only
Well-
it's a murder in their town.
It was a murder in the town square where everybody goes through at least several times a day.
Ooh, that's kind of critical.
Yeah, that's why I made it every year.
Yes.
Yeah.
She also had literally etched into her clothes "Strike 3" to those who could read Primordial. So I'm assuming some people may have caught that and started to freak out, like, what the shit?
Potentially.
Alright, Nick's gonna...
But yeah, go ahead.
Nick will make his presence known and says, "Alright, who do we gotta talk to bring in information about the recent death?"
I mean, Duvessa is the leader, I'm pretty sure, according to my notes.
You speak of Speaker Duvessa Shane.
Yep.
Sure enough, they, I will say, just to hand wave it so we can get to here, they at first say that, if you're here for if you're here trying to get an audience with the speaker, she's currently busy right now. But then you quickly bring up, we were personally invested in the death of Danica Greysteel, and we may have some insight that could help with the investigation. And no sooner does that happen, they're like, give us about 15 minutes.
Okay. Sit awkwardly in the waiting room.
Nick resists the urge to take a smoke break.
Sir, if you're gonna do that, can you stand outside while you do that?
He's not smoking.
He said resist the urge, not does.
Yeah. He's always got that good kush. We gotta save that for a good time, not for a morbid time.
Use it to celebrate, not escape.
Pretty much.
Yes.
You can quit whenever you want.
Ezekiel is very uneasily, just like, twiddling his fingers, just, like, trying to keep his body busy while staying still.
I'd say Alonso is definitely like looking around and taking in the surroundings, like, this building's pretty quaint and historic.
It is
I
pretty
imagine.
quaint. If I recall correctly here.
Very lovely rustic architecture.
Yep.
You've been quiet about the rustic architecture.
There's,
I love architecture.
there's too
I
much
think
noise.
it's an exciting topic.
There's too much noise right now. I don't like it.
You actually, I'll actually say, Lonzo, since you have been a good boy and kept some notes about, the place and the area and the people who run the city, go ahead and roll me a history check with advantage.
Hooray!
Away.
History.
Owls, time to shine in 3, 2, 1.
Alright, 13. You actually remember that this building, is actually quite old, even though it looks pretty renovated. You heard that this building, roughly speaking, is about 400 to 600 years old.
Wow.
It is a very, very old building, but you wouldn't know it being in the inside.
They take good care of it.
They certainly do. But yeah, eventually, one of the guards comes up and says, "Sirs, the speaker, Devessa Shane, will speak with you. Please,
Okay.
follow me."
All right.
We follow.
All right.
Follow.
I got 2 different pictures to screen cap.
Yay!
Oh.
Yeah. So as you are brought into a meeting room with sort of like a long rectangular table, it's almost kind of like a war room that it is like a meeting room. But several of the guards are talking with Tuvessa Shane herself almost all at once, and she's just trying to like piece together. It's like, hey, one at a time. You take a look at her. I'm posting this in the group chat here. She looks roughly, 30, 35-ish. It's like she is aged relatively well, like in terms of retaining some semblance of youth, while just seemingly kind of on the verge of actually showing age. It's like a weird sort of like standby point.
She moisturizes.
She moisturizes, sure, we'll go with that.
It's
She
like,
exfoliates for this.
Yeah.
yeah, it's like she could get it, but it's more about herself than trying to get someone. You know what I mean?
Married to the job.
Yes.
That's yes.
Directly to her right is this dark-skinned gentleman who looks quite a bit older. He seems to have himself some semblance of like a chainmail, or at least sort of like medium to heavy armor that has a bit more decoration than the rest, which sort of suggests a much higher rank than the rest of the guards.
Of table.
As yes,
He can get it.
I will keep that in mind.
Oh, whoa.
But yes,
The dragon has competition?
well, I mean, this guy actually has art, but yeah.
Oh?
But yeah, she looks over to you all and says, "Apologies that you had to come in such a rowdy time. Please, take a seat. I am Speaker Devessa Shane of Bryn Shander, and this here is Sheriff Markham Southwell, the Chief of the Guard," as he nods his head, but also looks a bit pensive, as might have inadvertently interrupted them
Yeah.
as he was about to bring something up.
What was his name? Can you spell it out?
Markham Southwell, Markham Southwell, and I will go ahead and type that out for just for cleanliness sake here.
He's the sheriff and leader of the guard of Brinchender?
Yes, he is the sheriff of the town and pretty much directly underneath her.
Yeah.
He answers to her, basically, but yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Neat. Hi.
Hello.
Please, go ahead, take a seat. I apologize. I wasn't expecting to entertain guests, but I was told that the 5 of you have information regarding this incident that was discovered a few hours ago.
Well, maybe less the incident, more like we knew the victim pretty well.
We were her last known employers.
Employees.
Sorry, I got that backwards. We believe that perhaps her research may have been the reason why she'd been targeted.
Her research, you say? What kind of research?
She was doing research. Oh, sorry.
That's alright. She was doing research into the effects of the rime on elementals here in Icewind. We helped her acquire some for study, little sprites called chewingas.
I apologize, but I myself am not magically or spiritually inclined, as it were. But I take it that this research was for a good purpose.
I mean, I think it was mostly just. I mean, I assume she had good intentions, yes, but the rhyme is a very odd phenomenon right now. I'm sure there are many researchers that are interested to see what the effects of it are right now.
Well, she wouldn't be the first, but still, this is a very sudden case. I've heard rumors about strange murders throughout the rest of the 10 towns, but this is the first that we've had here, or at the very least in the city limits.
Yes. It also pertains to the message written on her body. In Primordial, it's strike 3.
I'm gonna have her roll something. And by her, I actually mean Markham, as he speaks up and says, well, if you are speaking of a third strike, then that would imply that there are strikes 1 and 2.
To our knowledge, strikes...
About...
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
As far as we know, strikes 1 and 2 were from the Dwarven Valley. 2 dwarves that kind of lived on the outskirts of town. One of which was very recently attacked, but thankfully one of ours was able to spot them while they were dying.
And saved him, yeah.
He's still technically alive. We didn't get a chance to really interview him because we were kind of on the clock.
I'm not sure if those relate to what I believe could have been Bryn Shender's strikes, so to speak.
Ah.
They were a few months apart from each other, but we had a few cases of a strange back alley murder that has happened. One was a dragonborn who came here to, well, he seemed to be a man of faith and was looking to, well, spread his faith, as it were, and he was murdered in cold blood. And then a few months later after that, there was a tiefling man who, well, he claimed to had a vision of, well, sorry, I'm struggling here. He claimed to have a vision of meeting face to face with a man that he was destined to fight. And, well, we ended up finding him dead too. So, if the third person was doing research, then maybe somehow those other 2 were considered strikes 1 and 2, but somehow we wouldn't have noticed. And maybe that was the intent. Assuming this is from the same person.
What kind of cleric was the first man? Like, what god did he follow?
He was a cleric of Lathander. He was here to meet with the man in charge of the shrine of the Morning Father here. Ezekiel, you know this place because you've actually been there before.
Indeed.
He needed assistance and protection as he was growing paranoid about the fact that he refuses to turn off the lights like everyone else. And you all remember that one of the tenets is if you cannot sacrifice people or food, you sacrifice warmth, and they have been outright refusing to. And this is why I think they are connected. But we wouldn't be able to know who is doing this. That is until one of my subordinates made a miraculous discovery as he pulls out of his pocket a piece of cloth that has a almost kind of like a frozen blood droplet emblem on it, and hands it over to Devessa, and immediately her eyes sort of like widen for a second in surprise as she goes, well, I never really liked those folks, but I never thought they would be associated with those cultists of all people.
Yeah, those cults can. I also, I just come into the room finally. I was like in the lobby this whole time.
Hey
Dealing
there,
with,
get in here!
Sorry.
Get in here.
Sorry. This lady just had such a interesting complaint. It's not an interesting complaint. It's one of those minor complaints that no one cares about.
Fucking hell.
Yeah. Wherever Wyatt goes, he brings the basic bitch white people with him.
No.
It's
Not
his
incorrect.
curse, it's his aura.
Yeah. But yeah, those cultists, they have a way of getting their fingers into everyone's business.
Well, it's complicated. This, as she shows you the emblem here, this is not the symbol of Oriel the Frostmaiden. This is the symbol of a group of people that have been trying to do business with us for a little while. Are you aware of a dwarvish woman by the name of Torga?
Is that the one we met with?
Met where?
But she gave us the mission to go find the ingots and stuff.
No, that
Okay.
would have been somebody else completely. In fact, I'll gather the name just in case you want to keep track.
I mean, I think it's like Hruna or something.
Let me just get the exact name here.
'Cause I have
Yes, it is Kruna
I have,
of
like,
Clan
4
Battlehammer.
I have 4 Clan Battlehammer dwarves listed here.
Yep. Yeah. No, this is not her.
Gotcha.
All right. She will speak up and say, her name is Torga Icewind. She has a caravan of people that, well, they peddle wares, but their main business is to hunt bounties.
Mm-hmm.
So, I can tell you've been around to some places in Icewind Dale, so you know that some of the towns have bent the knee to the cult's demands of sacrifices.
Yeah. Was it East Haven where we were
Yes,
rescued?
East
Okay.
Haven was doing like lotteries, and also that's where you rescued Wezzo the wizard. But yeah, as you know, some of them have sacrificed warmth and others have sacrificed food, and in the case of Targos and East Haven, they have been sacrificing people via a random lottery. So, we, on the other hand, we have elected to only sacrifice those, quote unquote, that were already criminals to begin with. We want to at least do this honorably and, well, punish those that were already deserving of it anyway. Her caravan, Torga, she made it a business that she had been peddling over to Targos, to East Haven, and to us here at Bryn Shanders to hunt those that escape as they're being brought outside the city limits. I'm sure you've seen those poles that they would put their sacrifices on.
Yeah, a few times.
Oh yeah, they waste my fish on those.
Yep, the very same ones.
Yep.
Bastards.
Sometimes they figure out a way to escape, and because they're wanted criminals, naturally they get a bounty on them. She and her caravan tries to hunt those bounties and collect them. But she's only had her caravan move about our 3 cities because we're the only ones that have been putting out bounties. She recently left Bryn Shander overnight, but she mentioned something strange. Usually she keeps telling me anytime I refute her offer, she always says something along the lines of, "Fine, I'll take my business to East Haven or Targos. They offer good business anyway." As some petty attempt to make it seem like I'm missing out on her line of work. But this time, she said she's taking her business to Kaer Koenig. Which, the last I remember, they're sacrificing food, not people. So...
Have they run out of food?
Well, they ration their stuff, but, let me take a look. I'm gonna roll something for her.
Alright.
I mean, you can give her guidance if you want.
No, I don't want to touch her. I think the guy will cut my arm off if I try to touch her.
Any unsolicited displays of contact will be met with a swift end.
Well, they haven't been offering foodstuffs, as it were, but more so offerings of alcohol. They're very good at making alcohol at Kaer Koenig.
Forgive me for speaking perhaps out of turn, but like, what does the cult want exactly? Just suffering?
Well, that is the thing. The only thing, well, we haven't had the cults themselves come to us personally. But the thing that they just want, supposedly, is sacrifices to Auril. And if we give enough, supposedly, she will lift the rhyme and a proper summer can come to Icewind Dale for the first time in 2 years.
And who spread this information?
Well, it started out in... Hold on one second. Well, it started out in... You know what? I'm just going to move the map over here.
Alright,
Well, it started out in the more isolated and faraway cities, such as Dogan's Hole to the south, East Haven all the way in the east, Bremen in the west, and even all the way to Kaer Koenig in the north. Specifically, the places that are the most far removed from the rest of the 10 towns. The ones that would be, well, the most dependent on outside trade and commerce. Something that has been all but blocked off because of the snow never melting. Their governments, their speakers, have been forced to sort of bend to the knee to the paranoia brought about by their peoples and are basically forced to perpetuate this farce. The bigger cities here are able to keep the rest of the citizens in line because we actually have better amenities than the rest, but the story spread, and once it starts spreading, you can't really get it to stop. I like to think that here in Bryn Shander we're better off than some of the other cities in the 10 towns, but it's only a matter of time that the people start demanding the lotteries if they become desperate enough.
You need to make sure that it doesn't come to that.
Indeed.
And Markham will speak up and say, which is precisely why I have this theory that the strikes could very well be... actually, before I finish, you never actually said that you believe that the strikes were based on her getting close to figuring out something, right?
We thought they
we
were
did,
maybe
yeah.
related, but
Yeah.
Well, I think they're related too. One person here tried to spread faith and guidance. Another one was supposedly brought here to face somebody, and assuming that they're cultists, that means that they were fated to fight, and if that man won, he would have made things better here. And now we have another woman who was doing her own personal research that could have led to things becoming better. I don't know about you, but I'm pretty sure I see a correlation here. It is anything that is trying to make things better and not rely on doing the sacrifices to Oril is antithetical to the cult's goals, I would guess.
that kind of matches up with the Dwarven Valley's strikes. It seems as though, because they don't do any sacrifices, and they're very self-reliant, they're picking off those who are outside the, on the outskirts of the
Protect.
Dwarven Valley.
Yeah.
It's also probably why the body was discovered in the middle of town square, so everyone can see it.
Exactly. There is one last thing. The main reason why we think that perhaps Miss Greysteel's research was being targeted, on our way over from Targos to here to Bryn Shander, we were actually accosted by 3 mephits that specifically were searching for us. They gave us a warning.
I'm gonna roll for both of them as you say that.
They gave us a warning that some deep shit was about to happen. Or at least that we were walking into some deep shit.
So you were specifically targeted by them.
They seemed like they were searching for heroes, so to speak. And that they were heading towards Targos. I don't know. Maybe I'm just making assumptions.
Well, in any case, as Duvessa speaks up again, assuming that this Torga and her caravan are somehow connected to this, the fact that they left overnight and this murder happened overnight could be a correlation as well. And, at the very least, I would at least wish to investigate why their business is suddenly going to new areas. If you would have me, I would personally pay you all to go to Kaer Konig and investigate her caravan, and if possible, find out if there's any cult influences, and if possible, eliminate them, for the good of those we've lost.
They do seem like our primary suspects.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I heard what you said.
Alright. Let's go see if anyone's handing out flyers and infiltrate them ranks.
You heard what now, Jesse?
I heard what you said. It was cool. Just wanted to make sure you heard.
We intended to head over to Carol
Here, Koenig.
Koenig eventually. We had a few leads of our own. Our specific group has been trying to research the Everlasting Rhine itself, hoping to maybe figure out how a way to finally put an end to it.
Markham will speak up. Perhaps that's probably why you were targeted. You claim that you were possibly targeted yourself. Perhaps that's why. Perhaps they've been watching you.
That's what I'm afraid of.
I mean, obviously, I would like to end the rhyme in some way, but I feel this is my theory that I'm working with now. From what little I know of Oral, because I think I actually rolled a religion a while back on her.
Hmm.
Oral is just cruel. She's an evil goddess that only really gains enjoyment of the suffering of others. I do not think bending to her whims will end the rhyme, because this is suffering incarnate. She's making you all suffer and make hard decisions to suffer even more.
She's intentionally holding salvation over everyone's head, or at least the promise of it. And in
And
turn...
she will never give it.
Exactly.
Markin will go ahead and look towards Merkin and Ezekiel and Hither and say, "What do you all think about this? You've been quiet."
I don't think I'm ready to give my opinions on the subject right now.
Understandable. You were probably just as shocked as the rest of the townfolk.
Probably not for the same reason everyone else was.
My own thoughts are at a bit of a standstill as well. For the moment.
And you, young man, as he looks towards Hither.
What's your thoughts on all this?
Cult's bad. They're not good for
Well,
business.
Okay. Sorry.
Yeah, feel like they're probably just taking advantage of the whole trouble going on here. Probably good to stop making a bad situation worse.
If I had to take a guess...
Go ahead.
If I had to take a guess... It's probably someone got their hands on something powerful, and now they're taking... And now they're... For one reason or another... have reason to keep this winter ever constantly going.
But why?
Maybe it has something to do with cultic fanaticism. Maybe there's a... Maybe Orin really did had a... one of the cult followers, I guess, blessed one way or another. I mean, that ice saber that's kind of lodged in Grace and Danica's torso is a little suspicious. A saber made out of complete ice? That has to be magically inclined.
I am one to agree. I think the idea that the sacrifice is not meaning anything has merit. Your theory is sound, and by all accounts, you would be correct that these sacrifices are purely a vessel to cause more suffering. But whether or not that is true, what matters is that the people are desperate, and this is the one method that is presented to them to remove the rhyme from Icewind Dale. So, you might be right, and there might be others that believe the way that you do. But when no other option is presented, you take the one that is in front of you.
Well, then I guess I'll have to prove it. You see Alonso look the most determined he's looked like the entire time. in Icewind Dale.
Prove that this bitch of a goddess is a real bitch.
My god's way cooler.
Yeah.
So there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, see?
Fold your arms with your cheeks puffed out and be like, yeah.
No, he's a bit more than that.
In any case, my offer remains on the table. I would have you go to Caer Konig, investigate Torga Icewind's caravan, find if there is any occultic influence, and rout it out if possible. And you will be paid handsomely for this.
Alright.
Ezekiel is finally going to speak up and just look to the sheriff and look to the superior and just be like and just basically say it's just like, if it's a job, you'll find no one better to take care of it than us.
Well said.
As you are saying this, who here is currently holding the lantern?
Me.
Let me roll something real quick.
Oh no, I'm in danger.
I'm in danger.
Make a perception check for me.
Okay.
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 17.
All right, 17. As you are all, resolute, it's like, yeah, we know what we're gonna do. You hear like a little thunk on the window.
Donk.
Nope.
Donk.
You
Yeah,
see a tiny little ball sort of like rolled up and hit the side of the window.
I get up and go to the window, but I'm like, wait, can I open this window real quick?
Maybe for a few seconds. Alonso, as you are getting closer to the window, you see the lantern light up.
Oh. I pull it up
Oh.
and I hold it to the window as I start to gently crack it open.
It gets brighter.
Oh.
I push it forward to see if they want to jump in or something.
As you sort of as you open the window, you see, let me just get the picture again for reference.
E.
Surrender.
Shall we?
Winga.
Yeah. This was the original picture that I sent you all those months ago. But you see, 3 of these little guys sort of hop out of the snow. One has an ink pen. The other one has a tiny little branch that they found on the ground. A third one has basically sort of a silverware knife, and they're all sort of holding them at arms as they all circle this ball, kind of like a hunting party. And you see one go as charges in and starts whacking on the ball with the ink pen, and the other ones start chiming in and they start quote unquote slaying this monster together.
What does the ball look like?
The ball is a small wicker made what is wicker again exactly?
Straw.
It's like wood. It's straw, yeah.
Yeah, it's basically a ball made out of wicker and straw. It almost kind of looks like yarn if you look at it from a long enough distance. But yeah, it's just a little wicker ball that they're sort of just kicking around and playing with.
I pick up the ball with one hand and try to lead them inside.
Oh.
they immediately like hop inside after the ball, and as soon as they hop inside, Markham goes, "Okay, can you put down the window now?"
Oh, sure. Shut. And
Yeah.
I like, can I look at the ball and actually see if there's anything like inside it?
It's really just like a small toy ball. There's a bit of squishiness to it. Like you can actually like clamp down on it.
Mm-hmm.
You realize it's more so like a very like it's the high fantasy equivalent of like a stress ball.
Huh. Neat. So yeah, these were the little guys Danica was researching as I dropped the ball for them to attack it again.
And they immediately like one just like full blown like jumps in the air, arms and legs outstretched as it like latches onto this ball, makes it like roll over, takes it all the way over and just flips over.
They're like little Pikmin.
A little bit.
They really are, yeah.
Like Pikmin Fall Guys is adorable.
Yeah, like you see the other two go in and they do like the Pikmin headbutt to the sides of it.
Oh, hey.
What are those?
Those are Chewingas.
They're small elemental creatures.
I see, as you see Markham sort of like walk over and kneel down. And you're saying she was researching these creatures.
Indeed.
Yeah, seeing what effect the rhyme had on them. Sadly, we don't have any access to her notes on what any potential findings would be. If you could get that for us, it'd be helpful, probably.
We're hoping that was maybe on
Yeah.
her body, but if it's not on her body, then we are to assume that her research has been taken.
Well, luckily for you, the body has just been brought in about, let's see here, 15 minutes ago. We were about to do, well, an inspection, not an autopsy, because they wouldn't do autopsies back in the day.
I mean, sometimes.
But like, they're bringing it in to inspect the body for any kind of like other injuries to paint a picture of like how this murder could have happened.
Yeah.
If you want, if you can stomach seeing the body, you can inspect it for whatever equipment she has on her.
That'd be helpful, yes.
As he's saying this, you see the other three Chewingas are like looking up at Markham. Specifically, they're looking at the leg that he's kneeling on. The one that's down to like one knee or whatever. And just with just the most pure gremlin energy, they start like very, very lightly whacking against the leg.
Oh no.
You see one of them attempts to like try and latch onto the fabric of his pant leg to try and like climb up. Like Shadow of the Colossus style.
Oh no.
Okay. All right, kids. Time for timeout.
Aw.
Nick will try to see if he can get the lantern to suck them up.
I'll let him have it for just a second.
Markham will just stand there, just like, it doesn't hurt, but why? You see one is like made its way up to, you know, the knelt leg. It's like simulating like crawling prone at the top of his knee to try and like hold on. And you see him do like the charge stab from Shadow of the Colossus with the little ink pen. That still doesn't hurt, but why are you doing this?
They're very playful. They're almost like children.
The other two down at the base of his foot are like cheering him on.
See, look, they're just like little children.
They like playing games.
Indeed.
I see. Can you get them to stop? I don't want ink to get on my pants.
Alright. Alright, kids, time for bed. Grabs a lantern and lets it do its thing.
Yeah, sure enough, you hear zoop, zoop, zoop. 3, one right after the other. As they are now within the lantern once again.
And I will hand the lantern off to Ezekiel.
Ezekiel just looks at the lantern. It's almost as if he had eyes, he would have the most dumbfounded expression. Like, you know how in anime you have those characters that, like, their eyes are basically just slits, and then the moment the eyes open, like, either shit's getting very serious, or it is the most surprised situation of unbelievable quality.
It's also very uncanny because imagine Brock opening his eyes.
Oh god.
Imagine how wrong that
Has
is.
that ever happened?
There is one instance.
There was technically only one when he was encased in flames by a flame attack. And it's like, you know, when characters are like shot by like a flamethrower, they get those really big white eyes with a very tiny dot in the middle.
Yeah,
and then the moment the flames have left his body, his eyes are back to normal. Like, you don't actually see his body, like his face. It's literally just So he just looks at the lantern, and it feels like the entire outside world doesn't matter anymore. The noise that was clouding his head is gone.
You see the tiny little runes on the side of your finger begin to light up in close proximity to the lantern. It feels tingly. And a little bit warm.
He puts his finger right up to the glass, and he whispers, like, "Can you guys hear me?" And he looks to the others and immediately is just like, "I'll be waiting outside." And he makes the motion to step outside of the office.
As you leave, Duvessa will look to you all and say, once you make it to Kaer Koenig, go, let the speaker there know that you were sent by me, as she gives you... You see her actually, like, take a little necklace out of her pocket and hand it over to you. And says, hand this over to Speaker Trovis. He'll know that you actually were sent by me once you show it to him. He's a Silver Dragonborn. You'll know him when you see him. You'll know him because he's quite older and, well, loud.
Loud how?
Remember what I said about Kaer Koenig producing a lot of alcohol?
Ah.
You won't miss him.
Ah, so dwarf coded. Got it.
In any case, I wish you good luck, and please stay safe.
Alright. So, who's good at medicine?
Let me check.
Oh, me. I have a +5.
Me surprisingly as well.
Okay,
All right.
you two are
Whoever wants to roll medicine, go ahead.
Let's go see a body. Let's go see a body.
See a body. Let's go see a body.
Wonder how you got killed.
I wonder how it died.
Wow.
But I mean, again, I think what we're mostly looking for is the research notes, but I can help with the investigation there too if you need me to.
All right, I let
Yeah.
our smart and wise boys do their thing.
Let the
Hooray!
nerds take over.
Guidance.
All right. 24 plus.
Why do I have these things? on?
28.
All right.
Do I have? Like, surely not. No, I do not. Thanks for the. Thanks for the 14.
All right.
I rolled
No.
I'm
All right.
28.
So, just to clarify, you are inspecting the corpse for like signs of injuries and whatnot.
Well, just any further clues? Like, obviously, she got fucking stabbed with this giant sword in her body, but
Well, yeah. I will say with a 28, as you are inspecting the body, you notice that there are like signs of bruising on like her lower back and the backs of her legs. And the way that they are sort of like trailed on her body suggests that the body was dragged at some point.
oh, so she may have been killed somewhere else and dumped at the square.
Potentially.
I like say this as to the investigators, and I'm sure they're taking notes as well.
Mm-hmm.
The sword. It's still like in her, right?
They managed to take it out. It's currently, well, it would stay inside, but since it's made out of pure ice, they're keeping it outside, but away
Yeah.
from the public eye to make sure it stays frozen.
Can I investigate the stab wound and see if like there's like magical ice that like, you know, frostbit the injury site?
I will say, if you're to continue with that, with 28,
Yeah.
as you investigate the actual wound, there is no sign that, like, there was any copious amounts of blood that were spilled. It's almost as if, like, the ice from the blade was so cold that it almost kind of like cauterized the wound as it was bleeding, and that's why the only dried blood is on the blade itself, and also the tiny little bit near the tear in the clothes when the stab happened.
So then, in that case, was it like instant death when she got stabbed?
I will say, based on where she got stabbed, there's no way that this was instant. But considering that this was, like, in her and probably, like, you know, twisted around or whatever, it probably wasn't fun.
She
Yeah.
more than likely passed out from pain and died due to going septic or
Yeah.
a blood clot.
Blood loss.
Yeah,
Or the shock of so much cold.
pretty much,
This-
yeah.
Does she look like she struggled any? Like, is there like, you know, blood on her fingernails and stuff like that? Like, where she tried to fight back against her attackers?
I will say, with that 28 still, you do see that there is a little bit of a cut on, like, certain parts of her fingers that are perfectly, like, straight, which you might guess are her reflexively, like, clutching onto the blade as it's being, like, driven into her. You don't know whether or not this was before or after it got plunged into her, but you definitely see the fingers are a bit more frostbit than the rest of her body.
So she clutched to touch the blade and it did the cold damage to her.
Yeah.
Alright.
All right. While they're doing the autopsy, I'd like to look through her inventory.
All right. Go ahead and roll me an investigation check.
Inventory management.
Please don't be a high DC. I hate having only +2. Why can't I be a rogue and have a bunch of different skills?
Because you are saving our lives in this cold.
Yes.
Natural 20!
Nat 20, baby.
Man, it's gonna suck if we get into a fight and suddenly start
Ins-
rolling nat ones.
Don't jinx
Insert,
it!
Gosh.
Insert
Knock
Kermit the
on
Frog
wood.
here going, yeah! In fact, there you go. But yeah, on a natural fucking 20, you see that for the most part, her supplies are mostly untouched. Most of the supplies that she had on her were sort of like research equipment, like little beakers that have like snow that is still in it. You can see like another vial that sort of has like crushed leaves from the surrounding trees and other sort of like plant life that is still existing. Just various different kinds of like research equipment housing samples of a natural kind. And then on her backpack, which thankfully isn't on the body, so you don't have to like touch and potentially accidentally deface the body doing so, you look through her equipment, and sure enough, it is very much like scholarly materials. We're talking like quills, papers that can be rolled into scrolls. Most of it is unwritten, and the other one are just like very haphazard, like scribbled notes that are more so like spontaneous. And then you find a leather-bound, book that appears to be a journal of some kind.
Alright, I'll give it a read.
I'm not gonna type anything out because fuck that. So instead, I'm
Fair.
gonna be paraphrasing what's inside. Nick, as you look through the contents of the book, you see that it spans about the length of a month. You realize that this is a journal sort of like documenting her days here in Icewind Dale, starting her research, sort of like making, hold on one sec. Sorry.
God bless you.
Yeah, the first few pages are mostly just like her settling in, finding a place to stay, getting herself situated. Shortly after that is when she first meets you guys and gives you the mission to go over to East Haven to find the Chowingas, as you also recall that she went over to Targos to cover more ground to find these guys. And there is a mention of a caravan that she came across along the way, peddling where general like supplies, run by a woman named Torga Icewind.
Oh, there's that.
You remember, you read that, you know, she bought like several different like pens and other sort of like you get the impression that she was probably like entrepreneured into buying maybe a few novelty stuff that she didn't need, but she seemed charmed enough. But she writes about one, not her specifically, but like one of the people under her employ. She writes about a strange human man, seemed well kept, hair tied behind his back, but his clothes were not like anybody else in Icewind Dale. In fact, whereas everyone in Icewind Dale, they are, bundled up to, everybody is bundled up to, stay warm or whatever. He's dressed as if he lives in a much warmer place like Baldur's Gate or Waterdeep or anything like that. And yet, despite that, he doesn't seem to be affected by the cold whatsoever. She stays there for a few more days, and then eventually you see a listing that seems a bit more frantic than the rest of the entries, way more short. She said that on the way over, as she was heading back home, or heading back to Bryn Shander to meet with you guys, she saw that guy in the middle of the night walking about, and she could have swore that she saw this man sort of manifest a blade of ice in his hand, seemingly out of thin air, and then quickly had to cut it short as this man may or may not have taken a peek at her, peeking at him, so to speak. The rest of this book is her meeting back up with you guys and her just doing general research. No indicator that she was being watched or anything like that. And it just cuts off abruptly as she is just talking about, feeling, a little nostalgic for the food back home, and she hadn't had a cherry pie in a hot minute.
We have our murder suspect. One of Targa's men. He's very clearly ice-coated. He can summon ice swords.
Markin sweats a little.
He can summon ice swords, and she saw him do so. I think we have a motive and a potential cultist who's part of this. If this wasn't obvious, I'm going to tell the speaker hey, yeah, if they show up here again, arrest them immediately.
Yeah.
Take the cherry pie.
In her honor.
So I guess
All right.
guess that's really just it.
There...
She was just wrong place on the wrong time. She saw something she wasn't supposed to.
And the Strike 3 that they probably carved into her, incriminates them as part of their cult in some way.
All right. With that said, is there anything you all want to do still in Bryn Shander before you head on out?
I mean, we may be limited because this is the same day we did a lot of travel. I'm out of spell slots.
Same.
And it is getting closer towards. If I'm remembering the time correctly, it's gonna be dark in an hour, and it's gonna take more than an hour to get even to the crossroad at Eastway.
All right, so you go ahead and plan on spending the night here.
All right.
I will go ahead and remind you all, or at least gather the data here. To get to Caer Dynaval, it would be 10.5 hours, and then from Caer Dynaval to Caer Koenig is an extra 2 hours after that. So divide that by half, and you are looking at a roughly 6-hour journey.
What we're gonna do with full spell slots and everything.
All right. Is there anything you wish to do overnight, or do we want to go ahead and skip over to the next morning?
I would like to. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I would like to do one overnight too. Is there a big? Okay, who's going first?
You go ahead. You go ahead. I'm just gonna say that
Okay.
Nick wants to keep a watch.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's why I actually play into it then, because Alonzo wanted to try and find like a big temple here in town.
Right. Everybody else, what do they plan on doing?
For bed?
For just nighttime in general.
Ah. Sleeping.
Okay.
All right. Merkin and Zeke, what about you two?
So, for me, I feel as if taking herbalism kit was kind of a mistake in this kind of area, but because I just had the thought, oh hey, wonder if they have any like herbs for healing potions like for sale here, and I'm like, really in this cold weather?
I mean, you can try.
True.
What is it that you're trying to look for?
Literally just herbs for healing potions. I want to try to make something. Or just like healing potions in general, because you know,
right.
the less that Lonnie has to use spell slots, the better.
Yeah, I get
Or
you.
the less that they need to use them on healing. Excuse me. What were you gonna say, Jesse?
That is what I was gonna do, but I'll wait for you to be finished
Oh,
first.
whoops, sorry.
Especially help me save my spell slots, because I have Cure Wounds prepared every day, just in case.
Yeah.
I've got good berries that can bring someone up to 1.
Yeah.
Let's see here. All right. Let's see here.
I guess the only real thing I could probably think about was just I had the thought to introduce the Chewingas to my dog.
Aww.
Oh, the dog. The dog, the puppy.
I will go ahead and say, in order, I can do Zeke's thing first. You're gonna
Alright.
introduce him to Sheldon.
Yes.
All right. How do you introduce the Chowingas to
Uh,
Sheldon?
I'm able to put them back in the lantern for safety. Like, can I take them out and put them in? Is that a thing I can do?
It is possible.
When you say it like that, I'm not.
That is a thing you can do.
You know,
Yes.
you know that when you found these Chewingans, they were out of the lantern, so
Yes, but like that's presumably like that is assuming that like oh suddenly the lantern could have broken like that's entirely a possibility. But like I was
yeah,
just kind of
I'll go ahead and say that if you extend your hand out and say it's like, hey, you want to come out? You see like a tiny faint little glow, and through the glow you see the tiniest, stubbiest little hands reach out for you to pull out.
okay.
Creation of Adam with like a tiny little minuscule hand.
That's awesome.
Oh yeah.
But yes, so I assuming I'm in the inn in a safe place that
Mhm.
I'm like surrounded by 4 walls where nothing can get me.
Yeah.
In a controlled environment. I want to be sure to put all these. I want to be sure to put all these factors in there.
It's like he's casting a heckin' wish spell up in here. Or
and
anything other than a spell.
and I go over to Sheldon and be like, "Hey, Shell, I want to introduce you to the first little guys that I cared for a lot before meeting you." And I bring the lantern down very slowly, and I just offer
It's like
my...
staring off into the distance, not even looking directly at you.
I imagine so. And
While
I
Nick
and I
cries
offer...
in the distance.
Oh no.
And I offer my hand. I offer my hand, and it's like, all right, little fellows, you can come out now.
Sure enough, as they come out, all three of them at one point just like hop straight out, and they look up at the towering. I forget what breed we decided on. It's a husky or a Saint
No,
Bernard.
Saint Bernard. There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At this very sort of like dopey, maybe slightly pudgy looking Saint Bernard, as it is just like staring off at like nothing with no thoughts in its head at all.
And then Ezekiel just clears his throat. And then, hold on, wait, for flavor's sake, going to roll. Wait, where is it? Oh, there it is. It's this. Sorry, I was looking for entertainment, but it's a different word.
You're thinking performance, yeah.
Yep, there it is.
All right. What do you do with that check?
He clears his throat, and it's like he goes over, like leans down to them and goes, "Welcome, travelers. Before you lies the very being of immaculate energy. See how he stores it all, and does it move a single muscle? The concentration needed for such things is immeasurable." Trying to put on the theatrics and put myself into the world of the Chewingas.
You see, Sheldon gives a lick to his own nose,
I love it.
and you see immediately with a soft 20, the Chewingas are immediately looking up at you, towering over them as you are narrating the power and mighty of this fateful steed in your companionship.
I had the fortune of meeting this creature, and he has blessed our journeys in ways you cannot possibly fathom. Truly, without him, our lives would be forfeit.
You see one of them sort of like approach the paw. You're sure Sheldon hasn't even noticed them yet? But then he walks past the paw into like a hanging piece of fur, because this is Icewind Dale, so I'd imagine that like their fur is sort of like a bit longer for the sake of keeping themselves warm.
Of course.
So I imagine he grips onto like a hanging piece of hair that's like droops down the side. You see him hold onto it like a rope. He walks backwards, and then he makes like a running start and jump, and he starts like Tarzan swinging off of the tiny little hairs off the side.
And then Ezekiel's gonna look over Sheldon. These little fellas are little element sprites, and I found myself really loving them. And for a mission, I had to say goodbye for a little bit, and it made me feel sad. But it sort of, seeing them again reminded me of when I had to save you from those bandits that we ran into, and just the amount of emotion I felt. I just, I want to let you know that I appreciate you as much as I appreciate these guys.
Oh.
I don't think I've ever felt this way about anything. Well, so and then he's just going to bring his hand over to the remaining Chewingas and then just like crouch down and try and
Bring him to eye level.
make an attempt to wrap his arm around Sheldon and like in an embrace, and it's just like, I really am glad you guys are here.
But like the Chewingas are basically like eye level with the Doge now. As soon as he seemingly finally notices these little guys in front of him, he just blankly stares at him like he usually does with anything. Gives him like a sniff, a second sniff, and then you see his tongue begin to like poke out and like get a lick at one of the Chewingas, and as soon as the tongue touches the Chewinga, immediately like recoils his tongue back and immediately like shudders a little bit. Apparently it was like very cold.
I thought it was gonna get stuck to it, honestly.
Oh no!
It stuck to the Chewinga.
No,
Yeah, like
that would actually murder me.
Oh,
Yeah, if it
no.
got stuck to the Chewinga, by reflex he would recoil his tongue back, and that would mean it would fly into his mouth.
Oh God, no! I don't wanna.
But yeah, no, he just like recoils after that, and it's like, just like, he doesn't hate them, but if not food, then what is?
If
Not quite
food.
sure what to make of them, pretty much.
Yeah, exactly.
And Ezekiel's just like, I figured, but they are not food, they are friends. Like me.
Chewingas are friends, not food.
Not food.
Meanwhile, on the crown of its head, you can see the third Chewinga that was Tarzan swinging a minute ago had somehow managed to climb onto the top of its head. And he has an ink pen in his hand.
Oh no!
And Ezekiel, the narrator, comes in and just be like, and as the great warrior swoops in for the final strike, he leans in. He leans in and he goes, he realizes that it would not be wise to engage the creature, for incurring its massive power would result in cataclysmic catastrophe.
It just stares at you for a second, confused.
Ezekiel goes, "Ooh," for effect, for dramatic effect.
And then it just shrugs and like, eh. And as soon as this happens, the brow on Sheldon furrows and it like does a little like head shake, and immediately the train goes and like falls over and into the snow.
I thought they were inside.
Oh.
Yes, I'm inside an enclosed area with 4 walls around me.
Oh.
Yeah.
Are you in your bedroom?
Bedroom area.
Then yeah, I'll say he like lands into the abyss of your bedside blankets.
And Ezekiel just scoops him up and it's just like, I told you he was powerful.
You see you see in this little Chewinga's eyes, which you cannot see because all of them have like these strange like masks on their face. You can't see facial features because of these masks, but you could just see like a fiery determination in this one's eyes as it just looks over at Sheldon, who is not looking at him, and just like menacingly points the ink pen, and it's like, one of these days.
Oh no!
Immediately, just like the feeling the energies of the elementals in his hands, Ezekiel's just gonna go, and then whispers, or like leans in close and goes, perhaps instead of challenging, you could form an alliance. And if he had, eyebrows with which to express himself, the eyebrows would just kind of like be going in a wave-like pattern and go.
You know what? For shits and giggles, make a persuasion check.
Hey, shits and giggles, let's go!
24. Nice.
Both sides, by the way.
Nice.
With a 24, the Chewinga immediately you just hear a huh?
What?
Like in the tone of what?
Ezekiel leans in and sets the stage one more time. The warriors realize that with the powerful creature, perhaps not fighting against it, but joining forces. And like the entire time in Ezekiel's mind, the music in his head is like that super action music you hear like when people are getting ready to go on a journey. Or like the easiest example would be like the Pirates of the Caribbean main theme. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
And it's just like joining forces with elemental powers and stored energy combined, they could take over the known lands for good. Or at least within these four walls.
Or I love that. It's fucking adorable.
And I'll go ahead and say we'll cut that part there, as you have replaced one fiery determination with another.
Let's go.
All right. Nick, you just wanted to do a watch, right?
Yes. I want to make sure that as everyone's sleeping, like, we're not... no one's gonna come... I want to make efforts to make sure that no one's getting, like, snuck up on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I know we're in, like, a
So that-
secure location, but, someone was murdered in this town, like, not even a day ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will say, this could count as, like, taking a shift during a long rest, if you wish. So go ahead and roll a perception.
There is one more thing. I know that Merkin also wanted to maybe make potions. Is it possible for me to, while I'm going on my, I guess, search, to maybe see if I can spot any, I don't know, mist herbs that are, like, something hardy that can be used for potions, like survival?
I will go ahead and say... make a survival check if you're just searching around town for anything that could be useful for the crafting of basic potions of healing.
Cool. Nick's going on a walk instead of going for a smoke. Natural 20! Where was all this last session?
Right over here.
All right, Nick. I will say, with a natural 20, there is definitely some measure of plant life surrounding, not beyond the city gates, but like right as you leave the city gates and then inspect the walls outside. There are some shrubberies that are around and are still able to grow despite all the snow.
A
Shrubbery.
Hey!
Shrubbery.
But yeah,
Love that.
I will say, with the natural 20, you know that, you don't know these by name, but you just inspecting these leaves, that they are pretty hardy when it comes to being able to survive this cold weather that is refusing to have a summer. And if it's hardy enough to survive that, then it's made of hardy stuff. Ergo, with the right kind of brew, you might be able to make some kind of potion of healing with this.
Okay. So, one agent, one herb of healing potion.
I will say, because you rolled a natural 20, I will say you get two that are like like the equivalent of like high quality materials if you're gathering in like say Final Fantasy 14. The rest you get are like decent sized pieces that could also probably be made into potions later, but will actually require the time and gold pieces worth of equipment needed to actually craft them into potions over time.
So, from what I've read about crafting potions, is that we do it by gold value. Essentially,
Yes.
essentially speaking, like if I'm getting 2 of these things, these are 250 gold coins worth of like herb
Yes.
stuff.
According to the player's handbook, based on what I'm reading here, obviously you need a herbalism kit to craft a potion of healing. Specifically, you would need 25 gold worth of materials and 10 days worth of crafting time to create a potion of healing. However,
Okay.
because he rolled a nat 20, the 2 high quality herbs that he got are so good that they will cover the cost of the first 2 potions for free, as well as cut down the number of days that you need to 3/4, so around 2.5 days.
Okay.
The rest, you have materials, and go ahead and write this down. The rest, you have materials to make about 4 potions of healing, but each one of these will require the 25 gold pieces worth of materials and 10 days worth of time to brew properly. So basically, the first 2 you get are free and way faster to make. The rest are normal.
It takes 10 days to brew a potion of healing?
I mean, it is technically a magical item, so
It is technically a magical item, so yes.
That's...
I think
That
there are
doesn't
feats that
sound
make it even
right.
faster.
But then, like, why would you even bother trying to brew anything yourself?
Yeah.
Something to maybe
That doesn't-
talk over with the DM off screen.
Probably, yeah.
But either way, I will mark this as finer herbalism material and minor herbalism material.
Yeah, make sure there's a ×2 on the fine, or what was it, major or what?
Yeah, I put down fine.
Put a ×2 on fine, put a ×4 on minor.
Got it.
Ooh. All right. Merkin, I know that you wanted to start crafting these, but was there anything that you wanted to do beyond just making potions?
I'm thinking here that
My son.
well, yes, there's that too.
I mean,
But,
actually, I'm just, a construct made by him, but, I mean, you can call me that if you want.
I'm not here.
I actually don't mind.
I would like to continue calling you that, yes. Or at least think of you that way. But anyway. Well, now I'm torn.
What a sassy
Unlike-
fellow.
Unlike his pages, I am torn.
Actually...
No!
Oh, wait, what? I feel like I missed context. You just said that, and all of a sudden, our DM just lost his shit.
Well,
Yeah, it's not
well, I was gonna do another, actually, all my pages are here, it's just there's a cipher that hasn't been decoded because my master has forgotten everything.
Oh,
Yeah.
But I
okay,
stopped
alright.
myself because it was just like, that's too easy.
Yes, I'm working on it, you little munchkin.
I know, I'm sorry.
No apologies necessary. Would have just... This would be the time where, like, if Cypher was, like, not a book and, like, a person would have booped his nose.
Well, actually, I don't have a nose, but I'm just kidding.
God damn it! Stop.
Lots of a lot of well actuallys going on right now.
Yeah. Yeah, like the game show, actually. But yeah, besides that, is there anything else you wanted to do, or do we go to potentially Heather or Alonzo?
Well, all this talk of the cult and stuff has kind of made him a little curious about some things.
Uh-huh.
Oh, right. Okay. Just what's it? Yeah, just all this talk about the cult, and then there was like these orcs that are kind
Similar
of.
to you.
Hmm?
Similar to you.
Yes. Yeah, we'll go with that. That makes more sense. So how does one go about looking into that?
So you are looking to do your own research into the cult and just Auril the Frost Maiden in general.
Mm-hmm. In the hopes
Um,
that perhaps this either sparks a memory or just,
I would say go ahead and just make a I will say go ahead and make either a history or religion check, whichever is higher.
religion is higher.
Rolling high tonight.
Yeah.
All right.
When we get to combat, it all goes away.
All right, magic missile proceeds to get nat ones, and they all destroy the area around us, and we just
Even though magic missile
It's
normally
okay,
doesn't
miss,
miss.
yeah.
yeah, suddenly, and then we all fall into the abyss and take like 18 points of damage, and it's like, why?
Yeah.
Why do you do this, Nomura?
All right. Let me see here.
At the window. There's a window.
The window. Just looking up some stuff before I give any answers.
Yeah, sure. Riot.
The ladies and gentlemen, the starring. It's time for the stars of the show, the Toon Squad.
Hey,
Patrol.
hey, you got my reference, yeah.
Yeah, I recognized it immediately.
Hell
I
yeah.
didn't.
Well, that's
Um,
okay. All right. He's
All right. So what exactly are you trying to get information on? Just like what the religion is about, how the clergy works, like what are you trying to think of specifically?
Yeah, I know I said I wanted info on the cult, but that I did kind of leave it a little open-ended there. Whoops.
Well, yeah, is there anything specific that you're looking to remember, or at least, think of the top of your hat?
The
Right.
devil is in the details, don't forget.
Oh,
That was a weird
fuck.
thing.
The
But,
genie's wish is very particular.
Yes, I know. But,
I'm just asking, where do you want to start with this?
yeah, I know. Start. God, I'm hitting a fucking mental roadblock right now.
Perhaps focus on a location. Anything about Calvin's Karen or places that we're going, like Kier and Kong,
Yeah.
Koenig.
Sure, yeah. I guess, yeah, locations and shit.
All right. I'll say with a 24, as you are trying to understand the structure of the clergy of Auril and whatnot. You know that the clerics of Auril are, for the most part, like independent, and they just wander sort of like the cold parts of this world. They you know that so there isn't really like an established organization. It is sort of like wandering sort of like bands that, have, the symbol of the Frost Maiden as their banner and whatnot. You know that clerics of Oral the Frost Maiden usually tend to work and establish themselves as like powerful figures within sort of like a tribal structure. So like they will try to, use that power to form a proper cult and then channel sort of that tribe's worship away from their own personal traditional deities and towards Oral instead. Basically, they try to worm their way into like primal tribes, take over the religion from within and channel, sort of their energy towards Oral instead of their indigenous religions as a way to, be spared the hardships and winter and whatnot. And this usually ends up making these tribes into like pillagers and raiders as a result. You know that sacrifices to Oral the Frostmaiden are common. Usually, it's strange. Normally the sacrifices are like gold or silver pieces. You know that you would normally just like toss them into like a cold stream or the snow before you would start embarking into a cold area. But obviously the more fanatical members of the cult engage in human sacrifices. And you know this is to be true because their preferred method of human sacrifice lines up with how those that have been participating in the lotteries have been killing their own, which is to tie them up to a pole and leave them to perish from exposure to the cold. But the interesting thing that you remember the most out of all of this, and you don't know why this is sticking out to you, but for some reason it's just like a gnawing feeling in your head. So, because this is a clergy, naturally it's mostly clerics and, holy people that lead this sort of clergy. You know that the clergy, though, is mostly women. However, you do know that there are some non-clerics that are members of the clergy. There are wizards who are loyal or just worship the Frost Maiden, and these kinds of wizards are known in the clergy as cold cloaks. They basically serve as like sort of filling in the arcane blind spot that these fanatical cultists would have. They're the ones that actually provide the actual magical assistance to the clergy. As for how one becomes a cold cloak, that part kind of eludes you, and you just assume that it's the same way that any crazy person would end up in the cult of Oral the Frost Maiden, just by pure happenstance, perhaps. And that's as far as you can remember.
Interesting.
Excuse me.
Gesundheit. Gesundheit. Interesting. Erkin, dear, what do you make of this?
Well, it isn't too uncommon, I don't think, or at least it doesn't seem out of the ordinary that there'd be a variety of people that would help with any clergy. Are you... Are you okay? Are you thinking something terribly or something?
I'm not actually sure. He's just very contemplative at the moment, just... He's trying to put so much together right now, and he's just like... It feels like he's trying to force too much too fast from, like, just that one little bit, just like,
You know, Master,
Mm-hmm.
well, my knowledge of how amnesia works is that as long as the brain is perfectly intact, a person's memories will eventually recover on their own. So, if it's any comfort, really you can just wait and then all will be revealed in time, right? Assuming there's no injuries or anything like that.
That is true.
Assuming you didn't take an ice pick to the center of your brain.
Oh, thanks, Nick.
Ice pick lobotomy.
Ice pick lobotomy.
No! No!
It's fine. We just need to get you a heal scroll, and that'll give you all your memories back.
Is that how that works?
That's slightly a Baldur's Gate 3 reference.
Slightly above. God.
I'm more of a Phineas Gage type of lobotomy kind of guy.
Also, what was this term again? I need to put that down for my notes.
For the wizards and the clergy,
Yes.
they are cold cloaks.
Cold cloaks. Okay.
So, like, cold as in burr, cloaks as in the thing behind your back.
Yeah. Sorry, just like I misremembered it as snow cloak, and then I thought of snore cloak, and I'm like, no,
No, that's worse.
no, that's worse. Get the fucking sleeping time music.
That's more worse. That's worse than the everlasting rhyme is the music.
God. The ever sleeping music, for the place you definitely don't want to fall asleep in.
For those of you watching the VOD and for some reason you like Snorcloak, fuck you. And I mean that, and that's on Riz.
Wow.
On Res.
That's
But anyway,
also kind of a Deadlock reference, but yeah.
God damn it. But yeah, getting back on topic, Merkin's just kind of tapping his finger on the table, just like, why do I get the oddest suspicion that I'm one of these cold cloaks? Maybe I'm jumping the gun here, I don't know.
Are you sure it's not a coincidence? I mean, I can't confirm that. I don't have all of my memories back. I would just remember them as you would unlock more of me.
Well, I am hoping it is just a coincidence, but... Though at the same time, I don't know why... Here, insert Merkin just, like, not understanding how amnesia works and thinking that, like... Oh, if I remember, am I just suddenly going to start, like... praising Oral again? No, let's not.
Meanwhile,
No,
Nick
I
kicks
don't
down
want
the
that.
door and says, "Hey, Merkin, I got you some weeds."
Yeah,
Nice. Thank you.
That nice kush. It'll give you your memories back.
Master, isn't that a term for recreational drugs?
It is, but I know that's not what he's referring to. I've seen these before.
Oh.
Good on you for spotting that, though.
I mean, I was just concerned.
Don't you worry.
We don't need to call the guard. Nobody likes a narc. Nobody likes a narc. Cipher.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Assuming you don't have anything else to add to that, we can go to Alonzo, as you were looking for a temple, right?
Yes.
And just to clarify, Hither, you're just sitting this out, going straight to bed?
I think he already has.
Me?
Okay, good.
He just talked. Of course I know he's here.
Oh man,
Yeah,
but to be fair, it would have been funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, just to clarify, you're setting out this RP part.
Well, I mean, I don't know much what I can do when I'm just going to bed.
Yeah.
Fair.
Was there? I mean, I could look for. God, what were those Scientologist guys called? Where they just had the pamphlets that they tried to hand out?
I know what you're talking about. I don't think they would probably partake in that.
Well, how do they get new members?
You don't know yet.
I mean,
Whoever survives the longest, essentially. But anyway, back to Alonzo.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, you.
So, you were looking for a temple, right?
Yes, like the big one that most major cities have.
Well, as a reminder, Icewind, or at least Bryn Shander, like, it's technically the biggest out of all the 10 towns, but the thing you also need to remember is that, compared to the rest of the world, Bryn Shander would be, like, a small, like, big small town.
Yeah.
So, in terms of there being a big temple, not really a thing. However, and I'll take some creative liberties here, you did hear from Ezekiel at one point about this one temple he went to a few times in Bryn Shander, the House of the Morning Lord.
But I don't need to go for the sun.
I mean, yeah, I get that. But yeah, above table, you were specifically looking for, like, a temple of Seluna.
Or just like something like a shrine to her or something, yeah.
Alright, I'll say... I'll say... make either a religion, investigation, or... yeah, just those two, whichever is higher.
Religion. Let me guide myself.
Alright.
Nice.
17 plus... Alright, soft 20.
Dirty 20.
Okay, I'll say with a soft 20, there isn't an organized temple to Seluna here, but, you do see the signs based on your own knowledge about, the teachings of Seluna, how her followers operate. You see sort of like the telltale signs of, like, the environment very subtly leading you towards where a shrine would be.
Mm-hmm.
Sort of like, inklings of, like, a star painted on the side of a building, which leads to another star, etc., etc., that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And it eventually leads you to sort of like this strangely unattended shrine in a back alley. Like, it seems like it isn't being taken care of, and yet for some reason it seems like spotless, clean, and seemingly untouched by the snow. In fact, the surrounding area around it, even though there's like a roof over the place, like, this isn't in a building, this is like in a strange back alley in the city. that you
Mhm.
just kind of like got led to, the surrounding area next to the shrine has no snow in it. Like within like a foot or two of it, it is like you can actually see the withered ground.
Yeah. I will add one thing, just like before we start the scene, real quick.
Mhm.
Since Nick was like on the lookout to make sure none of us gets shanked, would he
Yeah.
have spotted Alonzo in the city?
I forget. What did he roll? He rolled a
Natural 20 survival.
Oh right, yeah. But that was for finding the herbs, though,
Oh.
right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I never rolled for my perception.
All right, roll your perception.
12.
I will say,
I'm not being stealthy about it, really.
yeah, I will say if you're being stealthy about it, he won't be seeing you.
But no, I'm not being super stealthy.
All right. Then yeah, I will say Alonso does make it a point to let you know. It's like, hey, I'm heading out.
No. I was saying more like if Nick would notice me as I'm moving through town.
Then yeah, if you're not being stealthy about it, he would spot you.
Cool.
Anyway,
If Nick wanted to like observe or anything like that, I don't know.
Nick's buddy system. Nick's not gonna let Alonzo wander off alone. So
all right.
he'll let him do his own thing, but he'll keep a respectful distance.
Yeah. All right, yeah, go on. Sorry.
All right. You are standing in front of a shrine to Saluna, basically a little statue of the Lady of Silver, the Moon Maiden. You know the names.
I know the terms.
Basically just sort of standing there in a robe made of white, chainmail showing in between flowing, almost pseudo-Grecian like robes. As she's just holding a mace, looking resolute off into the distance as like 4 stars twinkle right above her head. What do you do?
To do the thing that I normally do, that I try to connect with her, I will use my last wild shape before my long rest to go starry.
All right. Go ahead and make me a religion check with advantage, as you are expending your own energy to sort of like commune
reach out.
spiritually.
Yeah, because he's always wanted answers and stuff, but stuff like that. Yeah,
Answers to
awesome.
what?
Many things, but we'll see how the roll goes first.
Yeah. 23. All right.
That's a good guidance if you let me do that.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
25.
You don't need concentration on starry form, so yeah. All right. 25. Can you find me that one song from Three Houses whenever Crudez does his thing?
Sure. Days. Where is it? Come on, I don't need a mix. Come on. Why? I think a lot of Fire on the Three Houses like videos got taken down recently.
Really?
'Cause I cannot find them. All of a sudden. That's not what that is.
I'll look for it too.
It's called like the Spirit Days or something like that.
Oh, the date is, yeah.
All right, there we go.
Here it is. Oh, did someone already find it? Oh, you found it. You found the same one I did.
All right. So, I guess last call on Nick, whether or not he wants to watch this.
I'd say he does not keep he does watch. I'll say, yeah.
Uh-huh.
He's within. He's keeping a beat on Alonso to make sure that no one's like going to shank him as he's praying.
Yeah, and also, do you think Nick has seen Alonso go starry before? He's been trying to hide it, but he's been like, maybe not the best job at it.
I mean, you've gotten starry in combat, right?
No, not technically yet.
There was
Oh.
that one time, but you were off to the side, and I don't think anyone saw.
I was like hiding behind trees to do it. Yeah.
All right. So yeah, Nick is gonna stay behind for this.
Nick is watching.
Okay, so you are watching.
Yes.
All right.
You're
In character, Wyatt. In character.
All right. All right. In that case, I will say, Nick, go ahead and roll me stealth with advantage because
Oh.
Alonso is meditating. Assuming you don't want to be seen, anyway.
I mean, yeah.
24.
Alright. Another good roll. All right. So yeah, Nick. As Alonso goes into this meditative trance, you basically like hide behind a corner in the alleyway and watch as Alonso. What does it look like when you go starry?
The already light feathers that he has for like hair and on his arms and stuff like that glow even brighter. And though his back is facing Nick, we, the viewer, like the camera facing Alonso's face, and when he opens his eyes again, it's like a void full of stars that twinkle. There's like a picture I always link for it.
Are you like sitting down as you're doing this?
Yeah, he's sort of like sitting cross-legged.
Right. All right. Okay. I will say, Nick, you watch as Alonso is basically lost in meditation and is sort of like not possessed, but is like in deep trance and concentration for whatever the hell this is that you're seeing for the first time. As for Alonso,
Yes.
every time, or at least almost every single time, that you have reached out and expended your own druidic energy to channel the stars, specifically for her favor, most of the time so far, you have gotten something out of it. Most of the time, it's kind of been like very ominous or something terrible. And this is sort of adjacent to that, but not completely. You... Before I continue, what is it that you are thinking of right now as you are meditating? Are you thinking of anything in particular?
He's thinking about how he first came to Icewind Dale because he did want to study, you know, like, hey, a thing where it's like almost eternally nighttime or, you know, dusk time almost all the time. That sounds pretty neat. That means I could study the stars and shit a lot more. But once he got here and realized just how dire the situation was, you know, he obviously wanted to help. And, you know, today he more or less outright told the speaker of this town that Oral doesn't care about you. She just wants you to suffer. And he even more or less made a promise to himself, mostly, that he wanted to try and stop her. And he doesn't really know how to do that, though. So he's asking for guidance. And, you know, also, like, his always his hope of, like, he believes a lot of his powers must have come from Saloon as, you know, a blessing from her. But he doesn't have, like, a confirmation of that.
Right. Alright. So...
Yes.
You see, for once, your vision is clouded with stars. Specifically, like, actually seeing the sky and constellations and, you know, actual stuff that would be on the star maps that you were once told, housed great power, and that you yourself, are able to make on your own.
Yes.
So you know all these constellations by heart.
I'd say actually then, if you have my star map activate, there's the crystal that's on Alonso's staff. It like opens up like it's blooming like a flower, and there's like constellations being displayed on the walls of this alleyway.
I will say, with a 25, would you be willing to have everything that you are seeing right now play almost as if it's like a hologram on the blooming flower so that Nick can see it?
I mean, if that's the way she wants the message to be displayed, then by God, yeah.
All right. In that case, Nick, you see the flower on Alonso's staff begins to bloom, and you
Crystal.
see, Crystal.
Yeah.
And you see just what seemed like a bunch of nonsense, just a bunch of flashing images that you have no idea what any of this means. Alonso knows exactly what this means, but to you, it's just, stars and constellations and the sky. And then eventually, some images begin to flash in your mind. Not stars, but people. You see... Hold on one second. You see the image of a rather stout-looking dwarven woman who looks a bit crusty. Like, you look at her and she seems a bit shady or lacking in moral compass. As she and a few others are sort of like hauling off crates of supplies onto a caravan. And you see a constellation, like, I'm not going to look up actual fucking constellations.
Yeah.
You see a constellation underneath this sort of scene that is associated with naivete or, unknowingness. At a certain point, a fifth figure joins them. A human man, a human man who, looks relatively, well kept, has his hair tied back a little bit, and, seems to be talking with this dwarf, about something, you're not sure, but the constellation that forms under this is associated with contracts and bonds. You then see another scene. You see them sort of like taking what looks like a corpse of like some half-elf looking figure and stuffing it into like some kind of crate. And then it like just cuts over to them handing the crate over to some person, and then that person gives them like a monetary reward. You get a constellation underneath that says bounty. And then it repeats over again. Bounty, 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 bounty. About 4 or 5 times. But each time that this is happening, you notice that the dwarven woman running this operation is like looking a bit more weary each time they dump off a body for a bounty.
She's having second thoughts.
More specifically, she keeps looking at this man each time. And then eventually it cuts to just the man by himself. You see he is looking off in the distance with sort of like a steeled, almost kind of like lifeless look on his face. As you see him sort of outstretch his hand, and almost like the air itself is freezing, you see a very similar looking blade of ice form out of thin air into his hand. Underneath that is a constellation that says Beast. And with that, I can screen cap a picture. As you get a as you, and by proxy Nick, get a clear shot of this.
Interesting.
You see, and as you see this, you get this strange feeling in the pit of your stomach that you may or may not have had a vision of this guy before.
But
You think you might have seen this the day before you rescued that one dwarf that was dying under a pile of snow at the Dwarven Valley.
Yeah.
In fact, if I recall correctly, you had that vision right before you went out to, like, you know, walk off the nerves and then discovered the body by pure chance.
Yeah.
You feel a connection between these two correlations. But before you can, you know, have a chance to actually ponder at it, you feel yourself coming back to your senses, and you are blinking your eyes as you come back to consciousness.
How long does Starry Phone actually last?
An hour.
About 10 minutes.
Really?
Because wild shape lasts an hour.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You just expend wild shape charges to Starry Form.
to do it. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, Nick, for 10 minutes you were just watching a lot of these things sort of like unfold. Like, you saw the images, but you don't know the context of like all the accompanying constellations with it. So you just see pictures of people.
Nick can probably take a guess.
Alright, I'd say as Alonzo exits his trance and exits his starry form, he does have to like catch his breath a bit as like the crystal folds back into like a solid, you know, just circular, spherical shape at the top of his staff. Well, I thank you for the guidance, at least, my lady. I do want to talk to you one day, though. And is there like a basin for like offerings at this?
You see that there is a little, there is like a little basin, which is strangely, you know, again, unfrozen. There is no sign of, there is no sign of like any freezing or anything like that on it. It is perfectly dry and slightly warm to the touch.
I sadly don't have much to actually like offer in terms of like physical objects. This area seems to have like no freezing effect for now. I'll use a spell slot to use create water to like fill the basin with like pure water for any other passerby the rest of this night.
All right. As you do so, and you see the water form in this basin, normally this would be freezing like almost immediately, but it's not.
I guess
put
I'll.
your- Yeah.
Go on.
I was gonna say, like, you maybe like dip your finger in it to gauge it, and it's like, it's very slightly cold, but it's nowhere close to freezing.
Yeah. Maybe I'll like kneel down, at least like cup some in my hands and take a drink, just to supposedly end the ritual in my mind, but maybe something else goes on.
All right. Okay. Okay. You take a drink of this water. Hmm.
I just drink holy water.
Yeah. Gambling. No.
Watching that.
Go ahead and I'll say roll me a religion check flat. So just
Okay.
like regular religion check.
9.
It's water. It's probably technically the warmest water you've had since you've gotten here, but it's water.
Goddamn motherfucking ice.
Algorithm.
Yeah. But slightly refreshed, Alonzo does get up, dust himself off, just sigh again, and then turn to start leaving.
All right, Nick, he is leaving. Do you reveal yourself or do you let him pass by?
I'll reveal myself that, like, very obviously watching the entire time. It's
Oh
like,
shit!
Holy shit, man! That was freaky as fuck.
You see Alonzo hiss at you, as like you see like the. He kind of has feathers on his back along with his cloak. You see them like raise up. Ah! Ah!
Hold on, I got the perfect sound for this.
Oh god.
It's just leaning on the wall with a bag of popcorn or something. It's like, shit, man, that was freaky.
Yeah, like out of reflex, when you scare him, you just hear.
Oh my god.
Just out of surprise.
I'll play it again real quick.
Oh, again? Okay.
I had to like mute the screen for a moment. Is it going? Oh well, maybe not that intense,
But just like a shorter one.
definitely like a hiss for sure. But yeah, Alonzo is like shaking, like oh god, don't tell anyone, please,
Why do you feel the need to keep this secret?
because it brought me a lot of suffering back home. I don't want anyone to hate me here.
Alonzo, you're a druid. That's druid shit.
Not that.
Oh, it's because Moon and your shifter. Okay, I think I'm starting to piece it together now.
Just please don't tell anyone.
All right. I'm not gonna hold this over your head. But
Thank you.
I saw the vision too. That's
Oh.
yeah. They kind of project. You were kind of like a projector right now. I'm pretty sure some of the people out looking through the windows may have saw you.
Oh no! Don't tell him
You
that.
see, just taking a look around, you see no evidence of, like, anybody, like, watching. In fact, there isn't really any, like, windows at these ends of these buildings, so it seems pretty secluded.
So are you
Yeah.
trying to emotionally and psychologically murder the owl?
I'm sorry. Nick is not very good with
Subtle.
words and subtle.
But yes, I think the dwarf woman isn't our primary concern. If anything, she may be a potential ally, but the man, I think I think he causes a lot of the problems here.
My thoughts exactly. He seems that he's our primary suspect, and he's also potentially someone who can actually give us some solid answers. I want to preface this. I'm going to kill him.
Oh,
I'm going to murder him, and I'm going to look him dead in the eyes as I slit his fucking throat open. But I'm going to make sure that I get every bit of information out of him first. He may be our best lead on figuring out how to put an end to this.
It's not extreme at all.
but I don't think. Hmm.
If you, by all means, speak your mind.
I mean, I think he's a powerful piece on the board for sure, but I'm sure there's much bigger people above him.
Well then, when we get what we need from him, we'll decide then.
I think we should let the people decide. We are outsiders, Nick. And though we want to help out, I think since oral causes so much suffering, having something to actually punish for causing the suffering would bring them some relief.
Fine. I will consider this, but I'm not going to hold my breath in a chance to saving him.
Oh, I think he's beyond redemption. But he's too useful to just kill in cold blood.
Fine. Then we need to take... When we find him, if he is over in, up to the northeast, we have to make sure that we take him in alive. I have a distinct feeling that he's gonna have some tricks up his sleeve.
Oh, certainly.
We can't afford to have him slip through our grasps. I'm not very good at tracking, but I think I might be able to... I think maybe if I focus, I may be able to keep track of him if he slips out. But I may need time to focus on that. I need to get in range.
Can I ask a question above table?
Yes.
Like, both above table and also like Alonzo pondering. Could I use locate object on like his ice sword now that I've like seen one that has been used to like stab someone?
You get the impression that like the way that he formed the sword is as if it were like taking the water vapor in the air and like hyper freezing it into the shape of a sword.
Gotcha.
So if you were to like cast locate object, it would only focus on the one sword that you would know of, which is the one that used to be embedded in Danica.
You would have to... You'd be looking for ice, but there's ice everywhere.
Exactly.
Well, alright.
He's got that fancy... He's got that casual wear coat. Literally no one's gonna be wearing that out here this far north.
But we'll discuss things like that later.
In the meantime, we should probably get some rest. Also, I need to get these weeds to Merkin so he can brew with them.
Oh, where did you find those growing here?
They were hidden off the
internet.
They were hidden.
Internet.
Apparently, a lot of people missed them. They were just outside the gates. Not a lot of people know that these are kind of hidden within like a bramble off to the side. Pretty good stuff. Shrubbery.
Alright, I'd say as we leave to go back to the inn, Alonzo does take one final look back at the shrine, and then wherever in the sky the moon is right now, and just stare at it for a bit before going for matching step with Nick.
Mhm. I will say as you head back over, I do want to at least transition over to the next day here,
Okay.
because I do at least want you out on the road before we end anything.
All right.
All right.
Full rest.
So,
Yeah,
huh?
what you got?
So long rest.
Yes, long rest. Everybody gets a long rest.
Yay, long rest.
So everybody gets all their stuff back, all their HP, all their short and long rest features, spell slots, the whole shebang.
Spells.
Dare I say the whole 9 yards?
Yes. All right. Last call before you all get ready for your journey over to Kaer Koenig.
Well, I don't have any new money that I can really spend, so I have all the gear I could presumably need, so I should be all set.
Everybody else?
I'm good.
I'm good.
Chill, I guess.
I'm bad.
Oh my. All right. In that case, you begin your 6-hour trek from all the way from Bryn Shander up over to Kaer Dynaval if you wish to take a stop there, if you wish.
We do have
Or
a job
go
there.
straight over to Kaer Koenig.
Well, we'll see how it goes from point A to point B here.
Yeah, as we are going to roll encounters.
Ah!
Ah!
Are the kobolds
So-
back at it again?
Oh boy, if it's the
Gotcha.
same screwballs.
Well, you are still within the level 1 through 4 range, so maybe. Alright, let me just, Oh, can you hear this?
Pages, yeah.
Yeah.
Pages turning, yeah.
Yeah, I found a any flip, and I don't know how to turn that sound effect off.
You were playing it earlier. You were playing music earlier without it making noises.
This is a different program. Okay, there we
Oh.
go.
Okay.
Basically, the original one that I use finally got taken down.
Oh no.
So I have to find another one. And this one had the sound effects, but I managed to turn it off. Alright,
Oh.
where is the encounter table? It's on page...
Damn,
Hey,
that is quite the page.
Well, don't fucking look at it,
well, he wasn't.
bitch.
Bitch. What did I do to deserve this?
Whore.
Oh my
Oh
god.
my
Oh,
goodness.
goddamn.
Slut!
Oh my goodness.
Alright. Go ahead and someone roll me a D100.
Oh boy.
I'll do it. I haven't rolled anything today.
Alright.
I've rolled barely anything.
All right. As long as it's not like a
19.
19! Alright.
I swear to
Not
God.
again.
that is
I swear to
very,
God.
John, I
if it's
swear
full
to
very
God.
aggressive laughter. I don't know what's going on, but it could only be followed by bad news.
A meteor
John, I swear to the
falls out of
Frost Maiden, if it's
sky.
those fucking kobolds again.
Alright, everybody go ahead and make me perception checks.
Okay, easy.
A giant snowball comes rolling
Yeah, that
over
sounds
you.
about right.
No.
I was about
Alright,
to say, watch me get a nat 20 and be like, it's this goddamn kobolds again. Full speed ahead.
Alright,
Good lord, is it that funny?
Alright, yes.
Yes.
I will say Alonzo, Nick, and Merkin. So, you've gotten pretty good at spotting this by now.
Oh, great.
you see the hint of a white kobold tail poking out of the snow. But strangely enough, you also see what looks to be like the tip of an of like a furled wing also stick out of the snow. You're not sure what that is. But in any case, you see the tall tale signs of a potential ambush attack.
This is just sad now.
I can't tell if they're just gotten worse or we've gotten better at spotting them.
Spotting what?
Spotting what exactly?
It's the kobolds again.
I go up to them and I'm like, no.
Oh, you go up to them?
No, don't do that. Do not do that.
We're in our sled that's moving.
Yeah. Just to clarify, you do want to go there?
No.
Well, everyone else on the sled is grabbing me, so I can't barrel roll out of there. I guess.
I can't
Christ
walk
on a
off the sled.
Christ on a stick, if we went over there, there's nothing stopping me from using their fucking scales as a goddamn towel.
For someone without eyes, you got an intense stare right now.
Alright, I will go ahead and say, since you're able to spot it, you avoid that encounter at least. So go ahead and roll me another D100.
So what? Do they just hear? Yeah, go ahead, Wyatt.
You
Do they
just audibly hear like a "aww," but like a very faint "aw."
We wanted to give them candy this time.
We wanted them to join us on our journey.
So did they like hear Zeke's threat and just stay put?
You know what? You know what? Ezekiel, did you make that rant out loud?
to Hither? Yes, I did. 2000% I did.
It's very sweaty.
I needed him to understand the severity of my thoughts out loud.
All right. As soon as as soon as you like make it clear that you would kill all of them, you immediately see the tails like zip, straight to the snow.
Yeah, they want.
Holy shit, these guys mean business.
Dude, this guy's a fucking psycho. What the fuck?
Yeah,
What's
Nick.
happening?
As we leave, Nick's going to shout out, "Get a job, you bums!"
And to reiterate what Merkin said before, he would
Seriously, with the amount of effort that all of you were going through just to try and rob us specifically, you could get a job immediately.
Go down to Neverwinter. I'm sure it's much better.
Yes, please.
It's actually the closest of the Sword Coast to Icewind.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's Neverwinter.
Stark
I wonder-
contrast.
I wonder if the water is deep in Waterdeep.
I mean,
Jesus.
are there swords on the coast of the Sword Coast?
I wonder. I wonder
It's
if
like
the candles keep themselves.
In Candlekeep.
Jesus, stop! End me.
Did you know that
actually.
there's also a gate in Baldur's Gate?
I wonder if they I wonder if they use they pronouns and they.
It's okay. We're going from the north to the northern north. Everything will be fine.
I wonder. I wonder if the wind has ice in the dale.
Also, I posted a spell that I might try to use just for thematic purposes against this
Yeah.
guy.
Oh hell yeah! About to have ourselves a
Good
Like,
lightsaber.
raid?
yeah, just straight up like a lightsaber duel.
He's probably like a fighter. He has way more hit points than I do.
Oh shit.
Hello?
I somehow don't know or understand how I did that. Ignore that. We are going to
Okay.
continue.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, I'll go through with it. Everybody go ahead and make your perception checks.
Oh boy. Alrighty. Please, for the love of. Blessed be!
Shifters, go!
Although it's still funny because I'm still less than you are.
It's the rest of the group. They're just further up.
And
Oh, Nick.
Woo!
He's too busy looking for the kobolds. He's expecting them now.
He's more so trying to protect them from my ire and wrath.
Yeah.
It keeps fucking happening.
Yeah, no, Nick is like, okay, these adorable little idiots are gonna actually get themselves killed, but they keep trying to mug us.
It's really funny for us, but it's starting to stop becoming funny for them unless I do something.
Exactly.
Like, listen, this is about to turn into the fucking Act 4 tutorial. Get the fuck out.
3 times a lady.
Alright.
I'm hoping at least Gray knows what I mean by
I
that.
get you.
Alright, so Alonzo and Ezekiel get this.
Okay.
Ezekiel, because you rolled a nat 20, you get this first.
Yeah.
You feel in your echolocations the sound of, like, a little bit of rustling in the snow. As you see off in the distance, like, in between the trees on the side, you can see sort of like, for the split second, what looks like a saber-toothed tiger?
But no, it's actually kobolds.
It's...
Alright, this is the only time I'm gonna do that tonight. God, this has become the new Nandato.
You brought this upon us, Mr. Waterdeep, where the water is actually deep.
I didn't
water
say
deep,
shit
but the
about
water is
Waterdeep.
actually deep.
I didn't say shit about Waterdeep. Like Zoink Scoop.
Yeah, you fucking put some respect on water deep.
No. No.
So saber-tooth tiger.
Yes, please.
You see a saber-tooth tiger that is sort of like perched and crouched as soon as they like see you pass, and for the split second, it's like, do the instincts kick in and it attempts to like chase something that is moving? I will give you, if you wish to avoid this encounter, since you're able to spot it, but it rolled high enough on stealth that it was able to at least watch you as you're passing by. If you wish to avoid this encounter, how do you go about it in the split second?
You first, Ezekiel.
Okay, looking at my equipment, everything that I can do, I am going to... I'm not extravagant enough to really do anything. I have playing cards, but I think that'd probably make it kill us faster.
I have an idea then, just to at least like spook it or something so we can escape.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
Like as it's watching us, all of a sudden there's a fire in front of it. It like probably gets scared and runs away from it.
Yeah.
And it probably hurts it too.
Yeah. I'll go ahead and say, it's a relatively low DC, but I would say make an intimidation check with advantage as you do this.
Oh god, it's +1. Yay!
Yeah. Sure enough, you see for the briefest of moments the instincts like take over in its little brain as, it begins to like run, but then like with quick thinking, you like create the bonfire in an area right in front of it, and it's a big cat.
Huh.
So you know how like small cats, they're just like crazy fast reflexes because they're much smaller?
Yeah.
They have the same, so the big cats have the same, like, quick, calculations of things, but sometimes, the body doesn't necessarily keep up with the mind. And so, like, when it tries to, like, screech to a halt, it's sort of like, it's very clumsy looking.
Oh.
It manages to avoid the fire, but it's like, whereas with a small house cat, it would be like a split second. This big guy, it takes almost like a little bit of floundering for 5 seconds to fully change direction because of the sharp turn it has to do, and also how surprised this happens.
And the icy ground.
And the icy ground, so
So it's
And the
like
windy
Tokyo
veil.
drifting around this fire and trying to
yeah.
like get some
It is-
grip.
It is Tokyo drifting, yeah. Alright, in a rather comedic fashion, you have managed to avoid 2 encounters. So...
Imagine
yeah.
Nick's like, what was that? Nothing, don't worry about it.
Why did you try to commit an arson? Don't worry about it.
And arson.
There's no one around here.
This place could use a little bit of arson, if let's be honest.
Yeah.
DM will remember that.
Yeah,
No,
if we're going on like this route, there's no trees here, there's no forests anywhere.
It's all
Yeah.
snow and ice.
Yeah.
Alright, so I will say, by this point, you are approaching Kaer Dynaval. So I will ask you all then, do you wish to take a stop here, or keep going?
I mean,
Well, it really just depends on what's more important right now. I remember way back when my contact told me information about this area. But at the same time, it really depends on how tightly we want to get the noose around this particular group of individuals in Kaer Koenig.
I'd say we have a job to do, and we know that they're here. We don't want to like miss them, like leaving all of a sudden or something like that. I feel like we should keep going.
Yeah, I don't really see any benefit to staying here in Kaer
Dynaval.
Dynaval.
I
Unless
mean, if we had run into an encounter and lost some spells, then yeah, we at least want a short rest. But we actually lucked out a little bit.
we didn't waste any spell slots. We're good on rations. I say we can make time and push forward.
Very good.
All right. then we'll be back.
Yeah, there's time for tourism later.
Yeah. After we deal with whatever's in Koenig, I do want to drop by the Dwarven Valley just to pick up Perilu, because I was a little bit worried about her after I thought that maybe we were being followed, but after what we saw, I think she's okay.
Yeah. It doesn't seem like they were targeting people we knew. I think she was actually just in the wrong place.
Yeah.
And she saw the guy doing the sword thing, so yeah.
Yeah. Alright, so you're going to skip Kaer Dynaval for now, and you have 1 more hour of travel between Dynaval and Koenig.
Hey.
I will say we will end this session with one last D100 roll.
All right.
Who wants to do
be the lucky individual?
Alright, so we had Will and I'll do it this time. 1 D100.
Now 100. Come on.
93.
Not bad.
I don't know if higher is worse.
I don't know either. I don't remember how the encounter tables work, honestly.
We'll never
It's pretty
know.
random and spread out, to say the least.
We'll never know. But perhaps we're going to suddenly enter through a void and have to fight an eldritch being of untold horror.
Well, I'll have you know that the encounter tables are segmented based on levels.
Yeah.
So we're not fighting any dragon at our level.
Yeah. It's
Maybe
I mean,
like
there is one that is a young dragon.
I would sooner adopt it than kill it.
That's it, yeah.
Oh my.
it's a wormling.
It's a baby dragon.
Baby
Goodbye.
Dragon. I love Baby Dragon.
I just got a pop up.
Yeah, it's got a solid 1200 attack. And
Is
then
it a
if you use Time Wizard, then you can probably get it's a 1000 dragon.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Use it with the clock, friend.
Or the
I'm quoting-
10,000 dragon, which was
I'm quoting something I'll show later.
Yeah.
as if I
All right.
remember kind of.
Joey Wheeler.
I will say,
You will say.
Joey Wheeler.
Not
But yeah,
so good. What?
I will go ahead and say, instead of making perception checks, I would all like for every single one of you to make a collective dexterity saving throw.
Fuck.
Oh no!
Oh no.
I'm good at these. Unlike
I'm
Traylon,
good at
Nick
these.
is actually proficient to dex saves.
All right.
God, I really hope don't jinx
Easy.
yourself. Come on, Nick. You're supposed to be good at this. Natural!
Yeah!
Yes!
All right.
That's your third one. That's incredible.
I'm going to say that is 2 successes,
Oh
2
god.
fails, and 1 natural 20. All right. I will go ahead and say that as you are sort of like nearing, like at the halfway point between Dynaval and Koenig, you feel like this deep rumbling in the earth, like very, very large footsteps. Like
Oh,
Ezekiel, like you look out in the distance and you literally see the vibrations in the ground.
What the hell?
Lonzo and Ezekiel, you manage to like hold. Merkid and Hither, these shakings kind of come out of nowhere and like set you off balance. But with Nick being the one sort of like making sure that like, well, he's not the one like doing the driving, is he? I forget. It's either you or Ezekiel.
It's
I'm
either
pretty sure.
Ezekiel or me, but I think I at the very least have to play like co-pilot purely for the sake of making sure that
Yeah.
we're moving like
All
fast
right.
enough.
Harsh, but
Yeah.
fair.
It's my
In
job.
that case, I will go ahead and say that with your fast thinking, you see like a giant mound of snow being like kicked out of place as you like it's almost as if like snow is being kicked off the ground to the point where it's almost like a mist in front of you. With quick thinking, you get Ezekiel to steer off to the side so that none of you are blinded by the snowy mist. Purely because you realize that if something that big was able to, you know, kick up that much snow, then you would want to be able to see it. And sure enough, with a natural 20, as you manage to steer the sled off to the side, you see it as coming down from the other side of a hill is this large, gigantic troll,
Oh.
Oh boy.
and it is
no.
frothing at the mouth, like drool running down the sides of its mouth. It looks rabid, but you can never tell because, you know, trolls being trolls are like, well, they're big and they're scary and,
Ink!
well...
What?
Sorry, it's a SpongeBob reference.
big and scary and, well,
Hey.
they... they're big, scary, and they actually have keen smell.
Oh.
So, maybe not necessarily any way to be able to stealth from this, but we're gonna end here for now.
Shit.
As next session, we are going to open with a fight against a fucking troll.
Oh man, I don't have a lot of fire, guys. I really hope you guys are prepared for this.
I do.
Yeah, I got it.
Just slowly raise my hand.
Yeah, I got this.
You know, I've been lucky enough. I got the rakish audacity on my side.
You definitely are at the level to have the rakish audacity.
Because you did.
Yeah. All right. With that said, we will see you next time. Bye, YouTube.
Next month is going to be Spoopy month.
Ah!